Imagine a town where the natural beauty takes your breath away, where people can be themselves and still share one goal, where home feels like a holiday, and you can reach for the future while experiencing the past, where local is excellent, and the city touches wide open spaces, where far away is closer than you think, and you learn something new around every corner, where good governance is every day, good health is a way of life, where every guest is treated like a local, and every local is family. Then you know you've imagined George, the city of opportunities. Established in 1811, George is one of the oldest cities in South Africa. Even though more than 200,000 people from 70,000 households populate this spectacular part of the Garden Route and Little Karoo region, there is always room for more growth. The city of George boasts the largest economy in the Garden Route, with one of the lowest unemployment rates in South Africa. A mix of contemporary attractive rural spaces set we measure soon the entire business district access high-speed fiber connectivity to further better the excellent coverage that already exists in almost every area of George and its surroundings. A sophisticated infrastructure with banks, conference facilities, businesses, centers, and accessibility of a major city without losing its countryside charm. With first-class stadiums, sports fields, mountain bike trails, great surfing spots, and world-class golf courses, it really is one of the country's most diverse sporting events destinations. Whether your travel preference is by air, land, or sea, the city of George can easily be reached. Situated on the N2 midway between Cape Town and Kruger, it is not only home to George, but also a major rail line and within 40 kilometers of the nearest harbor. This means producers can get their products to major markets quickly and cheaply. George aims to place 850,000 passengers annually on scheduled flights as well as daily unscheduled private flights. 3 training schools ensure that the future of aviation is taken care of in our region. The public bus service branded Go George transports 16,000 passengers per day, with routes covering a significant portion of the city. The N2 link runs north-south through the municipal area, guaranteeing ease of access to transport for incoming and outgoing goods. Nestled in the pristine beauty of the Garden Route, George boasts the beautiful juxtaposition of contemporary urban areas with living spaces that are trendy and modern to sophisticated and upmarket, right next to smaller and beguiling rural areas for those looking for the tranquility of the countryside. The excellent local infrastructure managed and maintained by George Municipality includes a well-developed and vast road network, as well as a steady and reliable water supply from the Garden Route Dam. Electrified green initiatives keep the lights on. And a well-maintained world-class sanitation system is constantly upgraded to meet the growing demand. A drive through George and its surrounds reveals a feast of fertile lands and orchards with some of the largest and most sophisticated agro-processing capabilities in the country. Resources like coastal freight and export market. George is a thriving manufacturing hub. With and juice box, furniture, and products, and many more. This is tracked by the range of state-of-the-art sources that the local market as well as the next commercial business hub to be thriving more in the area in the country shows it with several public and establishments in various campuses. These institutions offer facilities studies to support the needs of the growing business and industrial sectors. Georgia is not meaning the eastern coast of the ancient business and Pate, find a good now. Is abundant bird life, forests, and beautiful rivers. Blue Flag Beach is linked to the banks and sandy poles of Herald's Bay and Wilderness. Ample Euro export boats. What traverses the ocean as the lush coastal thicket makes way for the sparsely vegetated plains of the rivers, forests, and scenic viewpoints. Emphasize this area, God, and
Good morning, everybody. Just a quick announcement. Due to the load shedding, which is just going to be ending at 10 o'clock, we're going to ask that we stand down, or we're going to start the meeting at 5 past to allow all the power to come on in all the areas, and also to increase the Wi-Fi signal, which is currently looking as if it's very poor due to load shedding. So please bear with us. We will officially start at 5 past to allow all the generators and the power to come back on. Thank you.
Nog 5 minuten.
Councillors, your microphone is on, please.
Pak af, man.
Councillor Esu, please put your microphone off. Councillor Esu. Councillor Esu.
Dis reg so hoor. Ek wag vir jou hier by die kantoor. Ek is in Sarah se kantoor gedraai.
Councillors, if you've just joined us, please bear with us. We are going to start at 5 past. We are waiting for the power to come back on in order to have all the Councillor Vigland, your microphone is on, please.
Speaker, for some reason, I don't have the option to switch off a mic. I can't see anything. It's just saying connecting on my side. So if you
I've muted you, thank you. I've disabled your microphone for now, thank you. Councillors, I am asking for you to just bear with me. I don't want to start this meeting and then be interrupted by an outage. A lot of the councillors are in the municipal building, and obviously when the power switch is back on, we will be without power for a few seconds while the generator switch off and we go into main. So in order to have a fluid meeting, I'm going to ask your indulgence. Hopefully the power comes back on in a few minutes. And as soon as possible so we can continue this meeting. Please bear with me while we wait for the power, please. It looks as though Eskom is really playing with us today. So I'm going to start this meeting, and I'm going to ask Councillor Fry if you could open for prayer for us, please.
Thank you, Speaker. Morning, colleagues. Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, I thank you for this day. Thank you for the grace that you have given us this morning when we have opened our eyes. Father, it was not by might, but it was because of your grace. Therefore, I thank you for being in our lives, for being present. Father, I beg of you to send us your Holy Spirit to lead this meeting. Father, to lead us as one, so that this meeting can be fruitful in Jesus' name. Father, I pray that you would bless each and every one of us here today present, my colleagues, the officials, in the name of Jesus, Father. I beg that this meeting would be fruitful in your name, in Jesus' name, so that we can render services to those who need it, to our communities and the poorest of the poor. Amen.
Thank you very much, Councillor. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome all the Executive Mayor, Alderman van Wyk, the Deputy Executive Mayor, Councillor Fichand, all the aldermen, all the councillors, all the administration. This is our second anniversary as councillors. So today's exactly 2 years since we were sworn in, and it will also be our last ordinary council meeting for 2023. I'd like to thank you at this stage for your conviction and your dedication this last year. And with that, I'm going to hand over directly to the Mayor for his mayoral address. Thank you.
Good morning, Speaker. Yes, indeed, we are 2 years on into our term of office. And good morning to you, Speaker, Alderman, Deputy Mayor, Chief Whip, councillors, municipal manager, directors, officials, members of the public, and the media. Today is scheduled as our last ordinary council meeting of this year as we begin the wind down of another eventful year. While I do not intend covering all of the activities of the past year, I do wish to highlight some recent matters of interest to Council, particularly in relation to the economy, employment, and the challenges that we face. Census 2022 published the outcomes of the census undertaken up to February 22, which then pronounced George to have a population of 294,929, with an indicative year-on-year growth of 4.1% per annum from 2011's population of 193,672. This growth of approximately 100,000 is significant in the context of the Western Cape, where Mossel Bay, Overstrand, and Saldanha Bay all grew by just over 50,000 citizens, and they are also above 4%, being the handful of locations in the country experiencing such growth levels. The city of Cape Town's population is now at 4.8 million, and the Western Cape is at 7.4 million, which makes this province the third largest compared to 2011, when it was the fifth largest, surpassing the Eastern Cape and Limpopo provinces. The debate now begins on how the Western Cape receives a larger portion of the national budget. The census has revealed that George has almost 86,000 households. In all likelihood, with a 4% growth trajectory, we could well have a population of approximately 310,000 by the end of this year. Our management team has already held a strategic session to recalibrate and reimagine the challenges, provision of services, and infrastructure needs for the future, given the increase. That this discussion will continue early in the new year, when the MACO team and management will continue to project our vision and future. The issues that will require consideration will include water sources, electricity, spatial planning, community safety, data analytics, facilitating economic growth, education and health facilities, sporting and recreation facilities, caring for the environment, etc. The recently released MIRO report, that being the Municipal Economic Review and Outlook, indicates that in 2021, George had a GDPR, in other words, a gross domestic product regionally, of 22.8 billion rand, which is 40% of the Garden Route region, whereas our population accounts for 35.2%. Two significant studies on South Africa by the World Bank and Harvard University's renowned Growth Lab have noted the worrying collapse of the state's capability to deliver services in the country and the damaging impact of costly preferential procurement policies as the prime causes for the inability to promote growth in the economy. Intuitively and in practical terms, we are aware of these stumbling blocks and the daily challenges that our George citizens have to obtain employment and to earn sufficiently to cover the costs of living. In countries where the advice of the Growth Lab has been adhered to, rapid turnarounds have taken place as countries have risen up the ranks of important indices. George Municipality has been acknowledged in the report for the consultations we were so fortunate to have had with the Harvard team a year ago. The proactive policy approach that we have applied in George over the past 3 years to insist on high service delivery standards and the maintaining and upgrading of infrastructure, along with following the principles of creating an enabling environment, thereby making the city more investor-friendly, has contributed to investments being attracted to George. As a result, construction projects to the value of at least 3 billion rand have either commenced or are about to be undertaken that alone will add at least 4% to the present 72 billion rand of municipal valuation. It is noteworthy to see how rapidly work has commenced on the recently announced business park being established within the airport precinct, which will also attract employment. Our growth in population that I've referred to comes from semigration, where citizens have migrated from other parts of the country where municipal services are deteriorating. These citizens bring with them new energy and enthusiasm that is already benefiting George. During the medium-term budget policy statement, the MTBPS, it was evident that there would be budgetary cutbacks, which have already affected the province, with follow-throughs to be affected for local government in the budget during February 24. The state of the country's national finances are of increasing concern, while actual service delivery across virtually all state departments and parastatal enterprises are collapsing. An adjustment budget will be presented later in the meeting today, reflecting withdrawals of grants previously allocated to municipalities. In this regard, we have lost 10 million rand of our RBIG for the current financial year, but will no doubt seek to recover that in the forthcoming year. We have, however, secured the rollover of the 200 million rand plus flood disaster relief grant that was transferred to George at the end of March into the 24-25 financial year. This will enable the rollout and completion of all the listed damage claims that arose during the 22 November 21 floods during the inaugural meeting of our council. Our Civil and Engineering Services Directorate currently has 150 projects that they need to execute. This is an all-encompassing task as they deal with 1.4 billion rands of capital expenditure to be executed in this financial year. The recurrence of load shedding at stages 4, 5, and 6 once again sets off alarm bells within the economy, as we have to endure and struggle through days when often there is no electricity for 6 hours of the working day. At these high stages, our generators consume diesel to the value of 250,000 rand per day, which also requires the logistics of procuring diesel and then distributing to the various locations. This also comes at a time when our George economy is preparing for the holiday season that is upon us. It is therefore welcoming to note the advances we are making in the installation of our 1 megawatt solar PV plant in the industrial area. We have recently also received environmental approval for the large 9 megawatt solar PV plant that we plan to commence installation with in the next 6 months, with the technical and financial requirements to be finalized early in 24. That project will become another step towards the realization of our dream to self-generate sufficient electricity so that we are able to provide power for the municipal installations ranging from waterworks to wastewater treatment plants and other buildings that need to have the power to keep George working. The growth challenges are also impacting education as we require more schools. We are in constant engagement with the Western Cape Department of Education. The provision of additional health facilities has also come onto our radar. A few weeks ago, Go George commenced bus services into Tembeletu following years of negotiation, with the first route being opened via the industrial area to Blanco. More routes will follow, including to the George Hospital, the CBD, and the Garden Route Mall in due course. I wish to congratulate the entire team for their dedication and perseverance in this task. We are nearing the completion stages of the annual audit by the Auditor General for the 22-23 financial year in June. The technical aspects of accounting standards have become exceedingly complex over the past 2 decades, making the achievement of clean audits an ever-increasing and costly challenge. During the last few weeks, it has become apparent that the AG wishes to introduce new technical requirements and hurdles that municipalities were unaware of prior to the commencement of the 22-23 financial year. Their retroactive implementation could impact clean audits. Negotiations were held yesterday between Provincial Treasury and the AG to seek urgent resolution of interpretations being made. During the course of this council meeting, we may need to request an adjournment of the meeting in the event that council needs to be briefed on implications for the municipality. Over the past week, George Municipality has been requested to provide assistance to Knysna Municipality regarding the transfer of refuse to the regional landfill site due to not having vehicles and equipment available to remove waste from the waterfront. There have also been requests for water tankers to assist in Eshowe and Knysna municipalities. In concluding, Speaker, I wish to express thanks to our entire committed municipal team, so ably led by our municipal manager, Dr. Gratz, the team of directors, deputies, managers, and all our dedicated staff members who've worked tirelessly in 2023 in serving to make George probably the most admired municipality in South Africa. Thank you so much. I would also like to congratulate the new MACO team and the councillors who served previously in those and other positions. Thank you to the MACO team and all councillors for your dedication and commitment to the task and service to our communities during 2023. We have been preparing for what we believe will be a busy holiday and festive season, as we understand that our accommodation establishments are pretty well fully booked. Thank you in advance to our staff who were working through December and into January, continuing being in service for our George communities. Best wishes for blessed Christmas, festive, safe season, and recess. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Alderman van Wyk. We're going to go over to the discussions. The first to speak on this is the ANC. You have 3 minutes, please. ANC, You have 3 minutes to talk on the mayoral speech. Councillor Esu, you are present. Is there someone going to speak, or can I move on, please?
Morning, Speaker.
Aye,
Councillor Faye from Dhaka will respond.
Thank you. Your time starting. Councillor Faith Ndaka, your time has started. I can hear nothing.
Excuse me, Speaker. Can we just check that the clock is running? We don't see the clock on our screens.
Could IT please sort that out for us, please? Councillor Ndaka, I'm not hearing anything from you. Please, I did hear you answer when Councillor Esu spoke. Now you're silent. The time is running. Councillor Esu, unfortunately, I don't know what's happened to Councillor Ndaka. I'm going to move on to the PBI until someone sorts that out, please. I'll come back to that at the end. The next one to speak on this item is the PBI. You have 3 minutes, please.
Mr. Mayor, you presented a picture that seems very rosy, yet there is some doom and gloom that we need to take into account. You gave us the figures for census 2022, where there's a growth of 4.1% per annum. We need to look at this figure very closely because the influx of people from other provinces is not taken into account. And that figure would be much lower than the 4.1% that you are bragging about. This lifted the 4.1% growth significantly. And so, because George and the surrounds are advertised as a haven for certain groups. The World Bank, you state that the World Bank said that the state does not have the capability to deliver services. Yet the George municipality is also delivering unequal services, where the haves receives better services than the have-nots. We can look at developments in our town to see how unequal the services is delivered within the George area. You also talk about construction works. It is noticeable, however, that big companies come to George to work, but they bring their own workforce, denying workers from George to benefit from employment opportunities. This must be addressed in the supply chain management policy that local labor must benefit whenever there's big contracts being given to big companies. Your disaster funds that you talked about, the rollover, when will the poorest of the poor benefit from the funds that was applied for to alleviate their plight? We received the monies in March, and now it is rolled over again. Yet the money seems to be freely available to affluent areas where works are being undertaken from these disaster funds. But the people in the other areas do not benefit for which the money was applied for. You brag about a 1 megawatt power plant. Well, the grant that was rolled over to be effectively used to for load shedding, will it happen this year? Or will these funds be rolled over again next year? And then you brag about the administration. Mr. Mayor, you must open your eyes. There are some cracks in the administration that needs to be plastered to ensure that occurrences of financial conduct stops and that it does not happen again. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is the Good Party. You have 3 minutes, please.
Dankie, Speaker. Mr. Meyer, ons is goed stem saam met ons collega van die PBI. Is 'n baie mooi verslag. Is goed uiteengesit. Dat George die dorp is wat vooruit gaan, maar is hier so baie probleme in hierdie munisipaliteit. Mense wat hulle werk doen nie, saak wat gemaak word teen mense, so baie dinge wat nie op add nie. En ons as goed het ook gevra dat die impact moet verslag na impact toegestuur moet word. Ons het geen terugvoering gekry nie. Dit het nou maar nog net daar gelaat en doodgeloop. Mense word geskuif van die een plek na die ander plek waar hulle kwaad doen, maar niks gebeur nie. So baie dankie vir die verslag. Baie dankie vir die jaar wat hier op die stoel sit. Maar ons as goed verwerk dit. Baie dankie.
Thank you very much. Can we have a translation, please?
Thank you, Speaker. Good morning, councillors. Ithi-ke igudi bona bayayixhasa intetho ebithethwa yi-PBI apha malunga nemiba emininzi i-PBI eye yayichaphazela. Uthi-ke i-PBI ithe iJoji idolophu ehamba phambili kwizinto ezininzi, kodwa ke singalibali ukubana kuneengxaki ezininzi ezikhoyo kumasipala walapha eJoji, futhi ke nomsebenzi ongenziwayo ongagqitywayo, futhi ke kubekho namatyala amaninzi esingayaziyo uba aphelela phi. Uthi MPEC kuye kufakwe ingxelo kuyo, kodwa singafumani mpendulo zophando bakwenzeke ntoni ngemiba ethile. Uthi ke zininzi izinto zalapha ngaphakathi, kodwa ke kuyo yonke loo nto leyo mababulele lo nyaka ukuba ziye zakhona noko izinto ezithile eziye zayimpumelelo. Uyabulela kakhulu.
Thank you very much. The next to speak on this item is the Freedom Front Plus. You have 3 minutes.
Dankie, Speaker. Deur u na die burgemeester, ja, daar's geen fout te vind met die voorlegging wat u gedoen het nie. Die feite is korrek. Die vergelykings is korrek en die persentasies is ook korrek. Dit is so dat George is besig om uit sy nate uit te bars. En ek praat van mense wat hier na toe kom, wie kapitaal bydraes tot die groei van George maak. Ek neem nie net ook in ag die informele groei waar daar geen kapitaal bydra is nie, wat eintlik meer aan die einde van die dag verdere druk op die administrasie van die George munisipaliteit plaas ten opsigte van diensteverskaffing, en daar word nie noodwendig daarvoor op dieselfde vlak begroot nie. Die groei uitdagings wat saam met dit kom is legio. Het verwys by onder meer na skole. Ek dink nie, en dit is van die Vryheidsfront se kant af, dat ons net na provinsie moet kyk of na nasionaal moet kyk nie. Hulle het eenvoudig nie die befondsing nie. Ons moet kyk na jou privaat beleggers wat gereed staan met sodanige uitbreiding om die nood wat in George ontstaan het as gevolg van die groei die hoof te bied, en wat kan effektief die hoofgebied kan gebied word. Maar ons sal ook moet kyk na ons dinge soos kapitale bydraes ensovoorts vir nuwe beleggers. Ons moet kyk waar ons George meer gebruikersvriendelik kan maak vir beleggers. En natuurlik moet plaaslike arbeid voorrang geniet in die proses, sodat ons ons eie ekonomie kan laat groei en werkskepping kan bevorder. George is 'n makro-entiteit, George munisipaliteit, dit kan nie wegredeneer word nie, die grootste stad buite die metropool, so hy moet met daardie kundigheid, daardie vaardigheid bestuur word om nog groter hoogtes te bereik, anders gaan ons die probleme sit waarmee ons reeds uitdagings van het. Ek sê vir u dankie vir die feite, dit is korrek, daar's werk om te doen, en daar's net een manier om werk te doen, en dit is as almal hande vat, almal bydra, oor die grensie en al die politieke partye ook mekaar ontmoet en kyk wat is die beste vir George en die mense van George. Ek sê vir u dankie.
Thank you, Speaker. Uthi ke uyabulela kakhulu kusodolophu ngentetho yakhe esulungekileyo, futhi ke nentetho ecacileyo, namanani ke futhi aye wasinika apha nengxelo esiye sayibona, futhi sabona ukubana zonke futhi ezi zinto zikhankanyiweyo zinjalo. Ewe kunjalo, iGeorge idolophu ephuhlayo nekhulayo, futhi ayikhuli nje, ikhula ngokwamanani, ikhula kuqoqosho, futhi ke kulapho ke funeka sijonge i-capital contributions into yobana ziyakhula na ziza kweliphi icala. ukwenzela uba sizojonga into yokubana xa kufika okanye xa kufikelela kwizinto ezithile siyakwazi ukumelana noqoqosho lwethu. Uthi ke njengoba ikhula ke isixeko sethu okanye iGeorge njengoba isisixeko esikhulayo, mininzi imicelimngeni esijongene nazo okanye zininzi ii-challenges esithi sijongane nazo ekukhuleni, ekufuneka thina sibambisane no-province ukwenzela uba sizokwazi ukwenza idolophu lethu ibe yidolophu ephuhlileyo, ngoba uxanduva lodwa aluhlelanga kwi-province okanye aluhlelanga kuthi sodwa, kodwa funeka sibambisane ngayo yonke indlela ukwenzela uba iGeorge izoba yidolophu ezokwazi ukuthi sirhwebe abantu ukwenzela uba sizophucula uqoqosho lwethu. Uthi ke sakhe namathuba omsebenzi, siyazi ukuba uqoqosho lwethu liyakhula futhi sizawukwazi ukuthi sincedane sisonke. Kodwa ke uthi uyabulela kakhulu ngemiba okanye ngee-facts ezininzi eziye zakhankanywa apha kule ngxelo, futhi ke ngqinelana kunye nazo ukuba umsebenzi kufuneka wenziwe ngabantu bonke abaphetheyo futhi ngamaqela onke, kungajongwa kwicala elinye ukwenzela uba kuphuhliswe isixeko sethu ngendlela ebambeneyo. Enkosi.
Thank you very much. The next party to speak on this item is the EFF. You have 3 minutes, please.
Enkosi Somlomo Manibulise eBhungeni. Simvile uMr Mayor xa ethetha ke ngamanani kaSensors nokuphuphumala ke kwabantu abangena ke eGeorge. Ewachaza ke amanani esithi ngu-294,929 yabantu ke yepopulation elapha ke eGeorge. Sifuna ukuthi Mr Mayor, ewe nathi siyayivuma lonto leyo siliqela le-EFF. Kwaye ke kwizinto okuluhlu othethe ngalo ke malunga ne-special planning, siyafuna ukuthi thina siyi-EFF ezi zinto kuthethwa ngazo kumnandi kazithethwa apha eBhungeni kuthethwa nge-special planning, but ke kwicala lemiba efana neyezindlu abantu bakuthi abaconsiderishwa kakhulu ke ukuthi ke ba-accommodatewe kwicala ke lemihlaba. Siyabona ukuthi ke imihlaba ijonga abantu abathile kwaye ke kuprioritizwa abantu abathile. Nakwicala ke lebhizinesi amashishini ahoyekileyo ke ngamashishini ekufumaniseka uba sekhulile. Singayazi okokuba umasipala walapha eGeorge njengokuba ehoya loo mashishini na akho nto ayijongileyo ke eyinzuzo ekubeni ke enikise ke kwicala ke lamathuba okushishina. Sifuna ukuthi ke umasipala walapha eGeorge makawajonge amashishini asakhulayo, ngoba ke amashishini asakhulayo ingakumbi ke la esezilokishini ke zethu bantu ke abahlelelekileyo, makawajonge awakhuthaze kwaye ke azise amathuba ke oshishino ngakuwo, ngoba ke ancedisana nomasipala walapha ekunciphiseni ke ubudlobongela ngokuthi ke aqashe uninzi ke lolutsha oluhlala kwiilantuza kwiingingqi zethu. So dolophu uthethe nge-health and safety. Siyafuna ukuthi kumasipala walapha eGeorge ke makakayijonge indima kwindawo esihlala kuzo, ingakumbi ikliniki le yalapha eThembalethu. Xa kuthethwa ngalamanani ke epopulation, iThembalethu nayo ipopulation yayo ikhule kakhulu sodolophu. So sifuna ukuthi khawukuncedisane ke neThembalethu ekufakeni uxinezelelo kwiprovince ukuthi ke le Thembalethu clinic ebayibiza bayi-day hospital mayi-operate 24/7 ukuncedisana ke neGeorge Hospital, ngoba ke imajority yabantu abaye ba-admithwe eGeorge Hospital ngokwe-stats ngabantu abaphuma kwii-areas zethu ezihlelelekileyo. So siyakhuthaza ukuthi umasipala makancedisane neelokishi zethu kuloo nto le. Okokugqibela ke Somlomo, ukuya kwi-issue kaGo George, ewe siyavumelana ukuthi nomasipala ukuthi ii-services yinto efunekayo ke ingakumbi kwicala le-transport.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor, your time is up. Thank you. You've had your 3 minutes. Thank you. Could we have a translation, please?
Thank you, Speaker. Yes, we as the EFF, we have heard the mayoral address, and we have heard what the mayor have said with regarding to the population of George and the census states regarding the influx of our people, the high number, the high rate of population. You mentioned it's about 294,925 people of George. Yes, we do agree as the EFF that yes, George has grown at large. You mentioned regarding the special planning here in the meeting. We want to say it is very much easy for us to be mentioning that in meetings, but when it comes to delivering services, our people do not get those services. With regards to houses, our people are not accommodated, and when it seems like certain number of people are being accommodated, especially when it comes to businesses. It seems like you only focus on grown or at large businesses that have already grown, but you do not focus on small businesses, especially in our townships or in our locations. Those businesses, they need to be motivated because they also help in the economy of George, and they also help with minimizing the crime in our township. So therefore, please look at the businesses as well. With regards to health and safety, yes, you mentioned about it, but I want us to talk about the Thembalethu, where our people need such services, because the population has grown and most people, they are from Thembalethu. So we want you to put pressure on province so that they can hurry with the process of operating the Thembalethu Day Clinic to be able to help with George Hospital. Please want you to put pressure on that. With regards to Go George, yes, we do agree that those services are much needed. And then the time was finished. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pallas. The next one to speak on this item is the PA. You have 3 minutes, please.
Goedemorgen, Speaker. Dank je, Maya. Maya, oggend het u weer eens bewys met uw toespraak dat u really nie belangstelling het in ons agtergeblewe areas nie, om dit in diens lewer. U praat niks oor diens lewer aan ons gemeenskap nie. Jy praat niks van werksgeleenthede nie, skep vir die ewige stygende populasie nie. Daar word gemensen van die populasie wat styg, maar geensins enige werksgeleenthede vir reeds die gemeenskap van George wat struggle met werkloosheid. Daar is 294.000 reeds wat u praat. Wat van die 86 huishoudings wat geen inkomste het nie? Hulle voorsiening en instandhouding van dienste en infrastruktuur is so ongebalanseerd dat ons mense benefit nie uit dit nie. En ek dink die PA steun dit. Die PA steun dit glad nie, dat daar niks aan ons mense gedoen word nie. Daar word gereken van 400 miljoen ontwikkeling by die lughawe, terwyl ons agtergeblewe gemeenskappe, hulle gaan al agteruit. Ek het gehoor dis 2 jaar in council. Ek meen, wat kan ons wys, wat kan ons bereik? Wat kan die dorp George bereik? Wat kan julle bereik? Terwyl ons gemeenskappe, aan die kant die brug, aan die kant Thembalethu, Botches, die areas, daar word nie gekyk aan ons arm agtergeblewe gebiede nie. Vir 2 jaar kan ons niks wys nie. Hierdie George regering, hy kyk nie na ons mense aan die kant en ook ons services. Ons services word nie regverdig gedeel nie. As ons byvoorbeeld dienste wil hê, word dit nie reg geshare. Die verskil tussen ons agtergeblewe gemeenskappe en die manier hoe julle die ander areas serve nie. Ek dink daar moet gekyk word na dit. Dan is dit ook julle bereik daaroor Go George wat in Thembalethu nou bedrywig is. Wat van ons areas, Botches? Ek praat van, ek represent Botches, een van die armste areas in die hele Weskaap. Daar is geen bushalte ons mense nie. Hulle moet in die reën staan, hulle moet in die wind staan, ou mense moet daar staan. Julle maak geen voorsiening vir ons gemeenskap, ons arm gemeenskappe nie, maar alles word bevoordeel in die ander areas. So ons het really nie iets waaroor ons really kan boos vandag. En dit is teleurstellend om so in so Kersfees seisoen in te gaan in ons areas. Die disaster funds, dit is daar. Maar wat is disaster funds? Hoe word dit gebruik? as disaster nie vir ons areas is, hoekom kan dit die fondse nie uitkom nie? As dit by die see in al die plek is, dan kan dit vinnig disaster management toegepas word. Maar ons areas is disaster areas en daar word nie gekyk nie. So die PA stem nie saam met die manier hoe dinge gedoen word in George en ons byzaan nie. Salute.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Can we have a translation, please?
Thank you, Speaker. Uthi ke bona be-EPA bayivile intetho kaSodolophu futhi ke le ntetho ayithethayo bona bangimelani nayo ngoba ikhangeleke ngathi uSodolophu uthetha intetho emandi esulungekileyo kodwa xa kufikelela kwezethu ingingqi nakanye kwezethu indawo esihlala kuzo ukuhanjiswa kwenkonzo asikufumani. Uthi ke amathuba okudala umsebenzi awekho kwezethu futhi nakule ntetho yakho khange uyikhankanye uba abantu bethu bazawuncedakala njani na okanye indlela enizawuzama ukwenza ngazo ukwenzela uba kuzodaleka amathuba omsebenzi kwenzela abantu bethu bazokwazi ukufumana ngoba siyazi ukuthi abantu bethu bona uthi ababhenefithi kuyo yonke le ntetho uthethileyo futhi ke xa kuthethwa apha intetho iba mandi ikhangeleke ingathi nijonge iJoji yonke kodwa nibe ningazijonganga ezethu ingingqi. Uthi ke ngokubona be-EPA abayixhasi loo nto. Uthi iminyaka 2 nikhona apha kweli bhunga kodwa akho msebenzi ebonakalayo esinokuyikhomba sithi nantsi into eniyenzileyo kwezethu ingingqi. Ukhankanyile ke wakhankanya ithemba lethu neeBorders nezinye iidolophu ezanabantu bethu abangathathi ntweni kodwa nina xa nithetha ingathi nilungiselela iJoji yonke. Uthi ke thina asivumelani naloo ntetho futhi ke uthi xa kujonga kwingwanjiswa kwenkonzo uwenze umzekelo nangephaya eBorders uthi akho kwayindawo onabantu abanokuma kuyo xa belinde ibhasi. Uthi kodwa xa kujonga kwezinye iindawo ezinabanye abantu abahoyiweyo iimeko zakhona azifani. Uthi ke ngoko ke aninokuzidla nithi nisebenzile kule minyaka 2 kodwa nisebenze kwiindawo nakwiingingqi ezithile. Ukhankanye malunga ne-disaster team uthi khona iteam ebekwayo xa kukho intlekele. Uthi kodwa ke leyo team okanye kuhoywa kwiingingqi ezithile umzekelo xa kukho amalwandle kukho intlekele kukhawulezwe kuyohoywa kuthi kodwa intlekele zenzeka mihla le kwezethu ingingqi soze sizifumane ezo services zinjayo. Uthi ke thina siyi-PA asivumelane nale ntetho yakho. Nkosi.
Thank you very much. Before I'm going to go over to the ACDP, I'm going to give the ANC one last chance to do their reply to the mayoral address. Is the ANC now ready for their 3 minutes? Your time starts now, please. Otherwise, I'm moving over to the next speakers.
Molo Speaker. Yandiva Speaker.
You may continue, Councillor.
Speaker, ANC simamele i-mayoral address eyenziwe nguSodolophu. Kodwa kule nto atshileyo sinazo ii-concern ezithile. Kuba xa siqaphelayo kuthiwa iGeorge population ayikhulile nge-200,000. But xa sijongile kwii-services kwaba bantu bakhulile ingathi siseza basemva. Kuba ii-services aziyi ebantwini bethu. Kuba xa ndijonga xa ilulwandle kuthiwe nantsi into bayakhawuleza kubalekwa kuyolungiswa. Xa kuthiwe nantsi intlekele yenzeke kwezi ngingqi zethu zabantu abathile kuthatha unyaka ukuze kuyolungiswa. Ndingene phaa Speaker kwi-economy yaselokishini. Andimva uSpeaker echaphazela kwi-economy yaselokishini okokuthi angayinyusa njani. Because abantu bethu xa bajongile bayazenzela. Kodwa uSpeaker okanye uMeya akho nto abayenzayo okokuthi baphuhlise abantu bethu ezingingqini zethu. Xa sifumana apha koonobhizinesi bethu kuthiwa babaqhuthana ngethambo lekilometers xa kufakwa ipaving. Babethane. Uba umsebenzi ukhona etawuni umninzi benganikwa. Bona funeke bajongane nento esethemba lethu. Ofitshi loo nto ayilunganga. Speaker ndingene kwakhona. Sihambe emnyameni andivuva uthetha nge-lights. Siyakubona niyafota apha niyenza ii-pictures nizii-celebrities. Nilayite i-high mast. But kunzima ke ngokubuya niphinde nizozimaintaina ezo high mast xa zicimileyo. Kulula uzifaka kodwa kunzima uzimaintaina. Ii-safety zo-councillors masike sizijonge zize phambili. because sihambe emnyameni xa sibuya kwezi meetings sizi-councillors. Abantu bethu barojwa every day phantsi kwezi zibane zicimileyo. Sacela ke meya makhe ziqatshelwe nalo maintenance. Siphinde singene speaker. Sibonile asikuva ukuchaphazela into yasetipini. Bibitshile itipu apha. Kutshe imitshini pha. Asikuva ukuchaphazela ba izolungiswa njani loo nto. Imalini ezospendisha ukuthi mayiphinde ilungiswe le ndaba esetipini. Sakucela ke speaker. Umeya makathi xa phinda abuya asicacisele ithini ke ngoku injongo yasetipini. Because inkunkuma ayithuthwa ihlala 3 days ingathuthwa. Funeka every time sifone. Speaker, kanti ke nojonga imeko abaphila kuyo abantu baseBorges. Kubi. Ayindawo yokuhlala abantu leya. I don't think nawe meya ungahlala kuloo ndawo injeyana. Enkosi.
Thank you, Speaker. As the ANC, yes, we've listened and we've heard up the mayoral address, and we have to say we have some concerns with regards to what has been addressed in the council today. With regards to the George population, yes, George population has increased, but we don't see that there are plans made in place for the service delivery to be able to be taken to this growth of this population. It seems like we are behind with our planning because, as you have mentioned, that yes, we are a population that has grown. Therefore, it seems like service delivery is going to take place. Is going to take time now to get to our people. Yes, with regards to disaster management, it seems like the disaster team is quick to respond when it's at other areas, maybe at the beach side. When it comes to our areas, they do not respond and we do not get such services. With regards to the economy in our township, we'd like you to look at the economy in our township so that you can lift the business people in the township so that the economy, because they also contribute to the economy of George. Please look at the economy, the business people, because we know that whenever there are tenders, maybe for paving, we know that our local business people are fighting over a piece of paving because there's not enough for our people. Hence, we say maybe if they were given opportunity to come and work even in town, maybe they were not going to fight over a piece of paving. When it comes to the mass lights, yes, it was a great initiative. It was very good when they were installed, but now the problem is the maintenance. They are not being maintained. When those lights are not working, our lives are at risk and people's lives are at risk, because especially us as the councillors, please look at the safety of councillors, because when you come late from meetings, people are being attacked because we know of the crime rate that is in our areas. Please look at the maintenance of those mass lights. You don't talk about the landfill side as to what is going to happen, because people sit with the black bags are not being taken on time, so there's a problem. Please, when you come next time, please come and tell us what is going to happen to the landfill site. The other thing that he made mention of, go to look at the people of Borges, the circumstances they live under. Nobody can stay there. Please, we need service delivery for our people, because Borges is it's under those circumstances that nobody will be able to stay there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paulus. We're going to move directly over to the next speaker, and the next party to speak on this is the ACDP. You have 3 minutes, please.
Baie dankie, Speaker, vir die geleentheid. Speaker, aangesien dat die laaste raadsvergadering vir 2023 is, laat my toe om al ons mense van George in die raad, by kollegas, ons amptenare, 'n baie geseënde Christusfees toe te wens. En dat ons nie uit die oog sal verloor nie, hierdie gees gaan om Christus wat gekom het en sy lewe vir ons gegee het. Hy het gesê, ek het nie gekom om gedien te word nie, maar om te dien. En dat ons uit sy voorbeeld, dat ons as raadslede ook sal hier wees om ons mense te dien. En dan wil ek ook een en elkeen van julle 'n baie voorspoedige 2024 toewens. Speaker, dit is soos die burgemeester gesê het, die groei in populasie in George is baie hoog. Dit is die ontwikkelinge wat besig is om te gebeur. Oral sien ons is daar nuwe ontwikkeling, die hospitaal wat kom, daar ontwikkeling by die lughawe en daar's ander ontwikkelinge ook. Dit plaas ons alreeds verouderde infrastruktuur onder groot druk. En daaraan sal moet aandag gegee word. Ek weet ons amptenare is alreeds besig en doen wat hulle kan doen om die druk op die infrastruktuur te verlaag. Dit is van uiterste belang, Speaker, dat George se munisipaliteit die hoë diensverlewering wat daar is, dat ons dit sal moet bly handhaaf. Dit beteken dat ons almal oor die spektrum van politieke partye almal sal hande moet vat en saam staan en saamwerk. Ja, Speaker, dit is maklik om te kritiseer. Ja, en dit is reg om te kritiseer, maar ons moet nie net kritiseer nie, ons moet ook moet voorstelle kom hoe om hierdie ding, om die kritiek wat daar gelê word te oorkom. Vakansiegangers sal een van die dae by ons is en begin arriveer. Kom ons maak dit vir hulle so aangenaam moontlik dat hulle weer George sal kom met vakansie. Ons het hulle nodig. Ons het die geld nodig wat hulle kom investeer in George. Burgemeester, tereg het u genoem dat George dringend nog skole moet bykry. Die bestaande skole is tot hulle volle kapasiteit bereik en die vraag word net al hoe groter. Maar laat my ook toe om af te sluit hiermee. Ek wil net dankie sê aan ons amptenare vir hulle harde werk wat hulle ingesit het en dat almal die seisoen wat met vakansie gaan, dit sal geniet en u wat reis veilig en kom veilig terug en geniet die vakansie. Baie dankie, Speaker.
Thank you. Can I have a
Thank you,
translation,
Speaker.
please?
Uthi bona beyi-ACDP ke kuba ke intlanganiso yokugqibela ke apha enyakeni mathatha ithuba ke ngoku abulele kakhulu kubasebenzi balapha futhi makabulele ke kubo bonke abantu abasebenza naye futhi ke ebanqwenelela ixesha leholide elimyoli futhi ke singalibali isizathu soba kutheni sizawuhamba siyocelebrata iChristmas futhi ke siyazi into yobana sikhutshwe ngokuthenjwa futhi ke sabekwa kuba sithenjiwe ukuba sawukwazi ukumela abantu neenkonzo abantu abazidingayo. Uthi ke kwintetho yakho ke solodolophu uthethile malunga nokukhula kwipopulation kunjalo iGeorge isisixeko ke esikhulayo futhi ke icacile into yokubana futhi nophuhliso lukhona futhi luyabonakala ke wakhankanya ke malunga nesibhedlele esakhiwayo wakhankanya malunga neproject eyenziwayo phanga sesibhedlele kodwa uthi ke icacile uba njengoba sikhula siyile population infrastructure funeka ijongiwe kodwa ndiyazi ukuba bakhona abantu abasebenzi abazijongayo izidingo ezinjalo kodwa ke funeka zijongiwe. Uthi ke umasipala ke uthenjiwe ngokuhanjiswa kweenkonzo ethenjiwe nje ithetha ukuthi loo nto leyo funeka sibambisane ukuhambisa iinkonzo singakhombi omnye esweni okanye sibe sigxeka singezi nezisombululo funeka sithi sigxeka sibeke into etafileni ngoko ke siyayidinga into yoba sisebenzisane ukwenzela uba umsebenzi wethu uzohamba ngendlela abantu bazofumana namathuba abawadingayo. Uthi ke usodolophu ukhankanyile ukubana ziyashota izikolo kakhulu apha eGeorge njengoba ipopulation yethu ikhula nezikolo ziyashota ngoko ke kuzawufuneka into yobana kujongwe nakwizinto ezinjalo. Uthi ke kokugqibela ke makathathe lithuba abulele bonke abasebenzi abathe benza umsebenzi omhle kangaka unyaka wonke nakuba bonke abantu abathe bathatha uxanduva baziduba bahambisa ngeenkonzo ngendlela efunekayo uyabulela kakhulu futhi ke eninqwenelela unyaka omhle ogcwele amathamsanqa. Enkosi.
Thank you, Mr. Paulus. The last party to speak on this is the coalition. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, sometimes listening to my colleagues, I'm not sure whether we're on the same planet, never mind in the same municipality and council. And I'm also sometimes getting the idea that people don't really read agendas and know what they are on about. I just need to know that there must be a problem in George if the George residents are increasing by 4.1%, because that then means that obviously the reproduction rate is huge, because my colleague said that no people are moving in from other provinces and that this was not taken into account during the census. Then when it comes to job creation, I'm also quite amazed that people don't know about all the work that has been going on in Thembalethu, Lavai, Kampokdien and Borchards, amongst other places. We had 30 high-mast lights installed within 6 months. And it now seems to me that this council meeting is actually turning into a complaints desk, because if there are high-mast lights that are not working, surely it's our councillors' duty to report these high-mast lights that are out of order. Paving that I referred to in Ward 21 in Haarlem and in Uniondale created many jobs for our youth. It also contributed to skills development and skills transfer. And then I was a bit shocked to hear people saying that the Mediclinic and the airport development is funded by the municipality. These are all private developments, and private developments create jobs. So the municipality creates an environment for jobs, and private developers come in and they put the actual money into our area, and that creates jobs. We also need to remember that the N2 Bridge project is probably one of the biggest projects that was being tackled in George. And that project is creating jobs and transferring skills. And that is in Thembalethu the last time I actually checked. I also need to say that when it comes to the disaster management funding, it is not for individual people. There are 34 identified projects. Most of these projects have already started and some have actually been completed. So anybody who thinks an individual will benefit from the disaster management funding is really very much mistaken. When we look at our wastewater treatment works and sewage works, we are busy upgrading several sewer pump stations for the entire population. It's not just one area that benefits. This is costing us about 1 billion rand. Several of these projects are taking place in Pakelsdorp at the reservoir, at the Thembalethu reservoir, and the upgrading of roads and stormwater in Themba is done very regularly. The disaster application was done, and I'm going to repeat this, for the November 2021 floods. 34 projects were approved, and the money must be spent specifically on those projects. We will be spending in the vicinity of 237 million on those various projects. Then when we look at
Thank you very much, Councillor. Your time is up. Unfortunately, you've had your 3 minutes. And so we're going to continue.
Is that really 3 minutes? I think that was only 2.
No, it's 3.
It's 3 minutes, Mama.
Ask that we continue with the roll call. Rosemary, would you please continue with the roll call?
Good morning, Speaker. Good morning, everybody. Councillor Adams.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning to the citizens of George. I'm present.
Councillor Alexander.
Goeiemôre almal. Ek is present, dankie.
Councillor America. Councillor Barnard.
Good morning, I'm present, Rosemary.
Councillor Brown.
Morning, Rosemary, present.
Councillor Pusak.
Good morning, I'm present.
Councillor Carolus.
I'm present, thank you.
Councillor Clark. Councillor Kuris. Councillor Cronje.
Cronje present.
Councillor Du Toit.
Teenwoordig,
Joyce is
Rosemary.
present.
Was that now Koeries? Thank you. Councillor Du Toit.
Teenwoordig, Rosemary, dankie.
Councillor Esau. Councillor Edie Vigland. Councillor R.G. Vigland.
RG Vagland present. Good morning, everybody.
Councillor Fry.
Chat box.
Thank you. Councillor Kom. Councillor Greaves.
Present.
Councillor Greaves.
Teenwoordig, Rosemary.
Councillor Gultik.
Good morning, everyone. Councillor Gultik present. Thank you.
Councillor Hani.
Good morning, Rosemary. I'm present.
Councillor Jantjies.
Present. Thank you.
Councillor Jay.
Goeiemôre teenwoordig Rosemary, dankie.
Councillor Johnson.
Good morning, I'm present.
Councillor Kleinhans.
Good morning, Auntie Rose, colleagues, teenwoordig.
Alderman Kritzinger.
Good morning, Ms. Brennan Company, everybody. Kritzinger present.
Councillor Kruger.
Good morning, I'm present. Thank you.
Councillor Lento. Councillor Lose.
Good morning, everyone. Councillor Losa is present.
Councillor Low.
Hello sisi. Sungama kaloku awusibizayo. Ndi-present bendisacofa ziyaphinda into zabelungu.
Speaker, I'm not sure who was that now. Oh, thank you. Councillor Low.
Good morning, President.
Councillor Mantrele. Councillor Mbete.
Morning, Maros. Morning, everyone. I'm present.
Councillor Etim Daka.
Good morning, President. Councillor Mantlani present. Councillor Etim Daka present. Thank you, Maros.
Councillor F. Mdaka. Councillor Mlukuli. Councillor Nakmele.
Good morning, President Maros.
Councillor Neetling.
Teenwoordig.
Councillor Niaus.
Niaus teenwoordig.
Councillor Ntondini.
Teenwoordig. Dankie.
Councillor Peterson.
Môre teenwoordig Rosemary.
Councillor Philander.
Goeiemôre almal teenwoordig.
Councillor Katana.
Morning, Maros. I'm present. Thank you.
Councillor Kampi.
We have an apology for Councillor Kampi. She is, I think, at a funeral.
Thank you. Councillor Rosa.
Goeiemôre, Maros. I'm present. Good morning, everybody.
Councillor Cyphers. Councillor Summers.
Summers present.
Councillor Smart.
Smart present.
Councillor Snyman.
Good morning, Rosemary. Good morning, everybody. I'm present.
Councillor Stander.
Good morning, Rosemary. I'm present.
Councillor Toto. Alderman van die Kerk.
Present, thank you.
Alderman van Wyk.
Present, thank you, Rosemary.
Councillor von Brandes.
Present, Rosemary, thank you.
Councillor Foster. Councillor Wessels.
Present, Rosemary, thank you.
Councillor Bindwai. Thank you, Speaker.
Rosemary, I see there are people that have typed in the chat box that could not unmute themselves. And so please, Councillor Fry, Councillor Foster, please put your hands down. I do take knowledge that you are in the meeting and you weren't able to answer your names. We also have Councillor Clark, Councillor Iesu, and Councillor America in the chat box. I want that on record, please. And I see Councillor FM Darkers also. Councillors, please put your hands down. You can put it in the chat box and we will accept you as being present. At this stage, we also have Councillor Toto and Councillor Gom. I feel it's pertinent for me to remind everybody that according to the rules of order on virtual meetings, and I'm going to bring this up now because up until now for the last year, I've been pretty lenient on this. I'm going to read to you item 3.11. Members who have accessed the meeting via the secure link sent to their email address shall be deemed present to the purposes of the establishing of a quorum, taking a decision or voting on a matter. Councillors, I have been very lenient for the last 12 months, and I'm going to start in the new year. I'm not going to take any actions now, but it is becoming an increasing practice for councillors to be sitting together on one device. This is not conducive to a full quorum, and we cannot have control as to how many people are in the meeting. Therefore, we need to change this in the new year. I'm also going to ask at this stage, Councillor Windfire, we see that you're present. Sorry, I just read two things at the same time. Councillor Windfire, please put your hand down. Thank you. So having said that, councillors, I'm going to make a ruling that all councillors' laptops need to be taken to the IT department before recess starts on the 9th. IT will go through those devices and make sure for any malware, make sure that all the software is correct, so that when we start in January, that every device is working 100%. So please, that is a ruling that I'm making. All councillors must, and it is compulsory to have your device taken to IT before the recess, if it is approved later, that is on the 8th of this December. Thank you. Having said that, I'm going to move on. Councillors, I have not recognized anybody. Please control your microphones. I'm going to move on to the next item on the agenda. Are there any other applications of leave? MM?
Morning, Speaker. No, there aren't.
Thank you very much. And I'm therefore going to move on to the next item on the agenda, the disclosure of interest by councillors, item 6 of the Code of Conduct for councillors, and the disclosure of benefits by municipal staff members, item 5 of the Code of Conduct for municipal staff members. Councillor Nkambile, do you have something to declare?
No, Mr. Speaker. Kampi, I think she did report with the Chief Whip. I'm not sure in terms of...
Councillor, if you listen to the Chief Whip, she did say that Councillor Kampi did apply to the fact that she would be absent for the meeting due to a funeral. So that was taken note of, and I take note of that now further. Any declarations, please? None? I'm therefore going to move on to the next item of the agenda, which is item 5, confirmation of the minutes of the previous meetings. Item 5.1, minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the 26th of October. Do I have a proposer and a seconder, please?
Brown proposes.
Sorry, I have Councillor Brown. And who was the first one, please?
Roofster propose, a second.
Thank you very much. We have the proposer and a seconder. We're moving on to item 6, questions of which notice was given. I've received none. We're moving on to item 7.1, minutes of the e-mail committee meeting held on the 12th of October 2023 for information. Do we have that noted, please? Could somebody just note that for the records, please?
Noted,
Noted,
Speaker.
Chair.
Thank you very much. The item is noted. We move on to item 8.1, which is the report of the mayoral committee held on the 16th of November. The first item on the agenda then is the councillors' accounts in arrears for September 2023. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor Wessels. You have 2 minutes, please.
Thank you, Speaker. This is a standard item that comes through to council. So no significant sharing needed there. So I will propose. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. There's no further debate. We therefore ask Councillor Clark to reply. Councillor Clark, Chief Whip.
Speaker, sorry, I second the item. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The item therefore carries. We move on to item 8.1.2, the application to purchase the remainder of ERF 495 Hoekville for the development of a retail and shop facility. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor van Branders. You have 3 minutes, please.
Thank you, Speaker. This item seeks to develop a piece of land on ERF 495 for business purposes. This is obviously great news to the community of Thuisranten. Whenever development takes place, it creates jobs and opportunities, bringing services to the people. This portion is located on the right-hand side of the main entrance route to Thuisranten, opposite the Thuisranten Hall and Clinic, and is highlighted in the blue image on page 46. The current zoning on the property does allow for use of retail or shop facilities. Another application from this applicant was to require ERF 1544 Hoekville was submitted to council for consideration, but had to be withdrawn after it was discovered that ERF is required by the GIPTN. An application was then received to purchase this portion of the remainder ERF 495 Hoekville to be developed as a shop and retail facility. Other inquiries were also received from other interested parties to acquire this portion of remainder of ERF 495. It is thus decided that the property will be released through a tender process, and all interested parties will be offered the opportunities to submit their proposals to acquire this piece of land. The municipal valuer determined an amount of 220 Rand per square meter for the sale of this remainder of ERF. I therefore want to propose the recommendation on page 50 and 51, listed A to H. I just want to highlight 2 things. In that, C, that the sale of the portion of remainder ERF 495 Hoekville by way of public tender at the upset price of 220 per square meter plus VAT, and then E, that the sale of the portion of the remainder ERF 495 Hoekville be advertised for public comment and representation. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Mantele. You have 3 minutes. Councillor Mantele, your time is running.
Yes, good morning, Speaker. Manbulisa Councillor Zonke Council. It's a bungin. CNC into eza nophuhliso siyayixhasa and siyixhasa njengombutho wesizwe owaza nalento kuthiwa i-Rainbow Nation welizwe. Ingaske ke xa kusiza uphuhliso lungakhethi icala and lungaphazamisi elinye icala. Abantu bakuthi basekuhlaleni kumele bexhamle. Nabo abantu basekuhlaleni ngaba bavulelekileyo ukuthi bawenze amathuba wabo wezophuhliso. Kungasolokane kuthathwa abantu bebala elithile xa kusenziwa uphuhliso banikwe ezindawo. So siyacela ke laa ndawo sibonayo ispace phaya kweHooven abantu bakuthi bakwazi uba baxhamle kuyo. Siyayixhasa but siyixhasa ukuthi sizayiqwalasela. Ibiphinde yanento engathi izawuba ne-element engathi inecala sizawubuya sijike singayixhasi ngelo xesha, but okwangoku sisathi sizake siyiqwalasele sijonge mayiqhube ibheke phambili. Siyabulela Speaker. Nkosi nibe nonyaka omhle.
Thank you, Councillor. You did that very quickly. Can we have a translation, please?
Thank you, Speaker. We as the ANC, we are in support of anything that has to do with development. As the National Party that introduced Rainbow Nation, we are in full support of what will benefit our people and that will benefit everyone without choosing any side, race or gender. We say that we are in support of this item because it will develop the community at large. So we will be watching this project, but if we see that it will start choosing people who are going to benefit, we will not support it. But as for now, we support the development. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pullis. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Busak. You have 2 minutes, please.
All right, thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I just want to bring it under your attention that it was agreed that the Earth 495 at Hookville be made available to the entrepreneurs in Toserantum for commercial purposes. And the portion of that piece of land must actually go for the local entrepreneurs. And then we must also consider that the 495 in Toserantum is subdivided into 3 portions. And at the back of that piece of land is the sport facilities. And if you actually going to sell that part of land, where is our community going to park the vehicles? At the moment, the one is actually now situated in Toserantum on that earth. They haven't got the parking area. So that is baie duidelik dat hierdie aansoek van LII word hierdie item bevoordeel. So ons moet asseblief baie duidelik consider op hierdie tipe van item vir ons gemeenskap in Toserantum, vir die entrepreneurs, wat dit moet eintlik die voorkeur kry. Nie 'n buitestander nie. Asseblief. Baie dankie.
Translation, please. Mr. Pullis, is there going to be a translation?
Thank you, Speaker. Uthi ke kufuneka kucacelwe kakuhle into yobana sizayixhasa ngoba kubonakala ingathi i-community yaseHookville yiyo ezawunikezela ezawufumana i-benefit okanye ezawuxhamla. Ukubana ke akunjalo ayixhamlanga thina asizuyixhasa ngoba ikhangeleka ingathi beseyicacisile ke ngesiNgesi ukubana abantu bazawuxhamla futhi ke le project kudala ijongiwe, ngoko ke ukuba injalo bayayixhasa. Nkosi.
Thank you very much. The last person to speak on this item is Councillor Fry. You have 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm going to be short and sweet. Speaker, I do support the recommendation made by my colleague, Councillor Von Brandes. I second the recommendation. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. That item therefore carries. We will move on to item 8.1.3, application to enter into a new lease agreement for the leasing of land at the Waterworks premises on 9th Avenue, Denneoord. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor Fichland. You have 2 minutes, please.
Speaker, thank you, Speaker. This item aims to seek approval from Council to enter into a new lease agreement for a piece of land at the Waterworks premises in 9th Avenue, Denneoord. And I therefore propose that Council accepts the recommendations as it is contained in the agenda today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There's no debate. And we therefore ask that Councillor Simmers does the reply. You have 1 minute.
I second. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. We're now going to move on to item 9, minutes of Municipal Public Accounts Committee impact for information held on the 8th of August. Do we have someone to note that, please?
Arnold will note.
Thank you very much. We move on to item 10, reports to Municipal Public Accounts Committee impact. We had received none. We're moving on to item 11, reports to council. The first item in item 11 is item 11.1, adjustments budget. We're going to ask that the mayor then table that, please.
Thanks, Speaker. Apologies for struggling with unmuting there. It is indeed a privilege and a pleasure to be able to table this adjustments budget. I think as council will be aware, it's always around the time when we deal with adjustment budgets in connection with rollovers that take place and impacts from the medium-term budget policy statement, where various adjustments are also then recorded. Now, in this case, as I alluded in my mayoral speech earlier this morning, there have been adjustments taking place as a result of the shortage of available funding at national level. And accordingly, while the provinces have had cutbacks on their budgets, municipalities have also had impact on their grants that they receive, and that is then included here, where, as I referred to on the RBIG, on the Regional Bulk Infrastructure Grant, which deals with our BFI, in other words, the work that we're undertaking on water and wastewater, that there's an amount of 10 million that has been reduced there. Council will also note in the summary of Table A, which is recorded on pages 83, the one point that needs to be noted there, we've got some pagination problems in those columns, so it makes it very difficult to read. But there have been some reductions taking place on the Infrastructure Skills Development Grant, on the EPWP, on the INEB, as well. So that's a total reduction of 11,876. On the other hand, we have been fortunate that the rollovers have been permitted in terms of a number of those grants, and the biggest one being on the disaster recovery grant, where there has been recognition that it was not possible for us to affect approximately 229 million rands worth of work for that grant after the grant was only, the funding was only made available at the end of March, and therefore with the supply chain processes, it was impossible to do that within the 3-month period. So that's been rolled over into the next financial year, for which we are very grateful. There's also additional funding of 24.3 million that is coming via the public transport network grant, the PTNG, which then affects the Go George system. So we are very grateful for that. And then there are further other smaller rollovers as well. So I accordingly table this, and my colleagues will elaborate on this. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Alderman van Wyk. We're going to move on to the first speaker on this item, which is Councillor van Branders. You have 2 minutes, please.
Thank you very much for that, Speaker. I think the Mayor has, when he tabled the adjustment budget and in his mayoral speech, has mentioned a lot of the things which we obviously need to take note of is a reduced allocation of a total of 11,876,000. And then, of course, the provision that was given to us to roll over, especially the disaster grant funding that was in this current circumstances that National Treasury is in, was exceptional. So I do want to thank the Finance Department and everybody that was involved in that to ensure that we do not lose that disaster recovery grant. And as the Mayor mentioned, there is other grants, the Regional Bulk Infrastructure Grant, the Integrated National Electrification Grant, and of course our JIPTON grants that was allocated. And with that, I want to propose the recommendation on page 85 and 86 from A to D. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is the ANC. Councillor Hani, you have 4 minutes.
Good morning, Speaker and the fellow councillors. On the budget, first of all, how are we going as a councillors to expected to figure out the figures on page 83 and the top of the page 84? There is no way that a report like this can be officially be submitted in the documents that are now for the public eye. As far as the adjustment and the capital budget funding are concerned, is not much that you can respond to. The adjustment budget are minimal. As far as we at the rollover concerned, we always seen the red lights, the rollover are mostly a result of the poor performance and incompetence in order to implement or to complete the project. Can we be finished with the exact amount of the rollovers to utilize in the next budget year, and those are completely withdrawn from us? I thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is the PBI. Councillor Peterson, you have 2 minutes.
Mr. Mayor, the tabled adjustment budget refers. Whereas the PBI noticed that the grant for the development of sport and recreational facilities increased. We hope that this will put the relevant department into gear to see to it that the capital projects that is dragging like the roof of the stadium for Pakkersdorp Sports Ground will be prioritized. It is noteworthy how the upgrade to the stadium was used as an election gimmick during the last by-elections, yet nothing is happening there at the moment, and the empty election promises are once again exposed. We also hope that the tartan track for Rosemore will in all earnest begin, and that this is not only a pipe dream like the sport mecca concept that is sold to our people. Mr. Mayor, we see that the integrated National Electrification Grant was also increased. Surely something can be done now to alleviate the effects of load shedding. Load shedding is one of the main campaign points for the DA's election strategy, yet rollovers for these funds are more of a priority than actually acting to utilize these funds for the intended purpose. Mr. Mayor, that the disaster recovery grant of over 220 million is noted in the adjustment budget. We hope that the people who actually suffered during the floods in 2021 will now receive the necessary alleviation. We noticed that projects in the affluent areas were mostly targeted, yet the poorest of the poor still suffers from the effects of these floods. Just recently, damage in Harold's Bay due to flash flooding were repaired quickly, whilst the same effort is not applied in Newton Park, Rosedale, Thembalethu en ander areas. Die verlaging van grants is as gevolg van volgehoue oorrol van fondse en swak projekbeplanning. I thank you.
Do think in both languages. So as far as I know, it was in English and only the last sentence was in Afrikaans. Would you like the last sentence translated? Can anyone hear me?
Mr.
Sorry.
Speaker, the ANC requested for translation of their speech.
But it was in English, so how can we translate that, Councillor? Anyway, we're going to continue. Councillor Nkumile, you have 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We as EFF, we cannot take note of Philandu's recommendation or approve the recommendation of Philandu's adjustment budget. We take it as the incompetency of our financial officers as presented, Mr. Speaker. If you check table 1, infrastructure skills development, the main allocation of 6.5, it doesn't add up when it goes to adjustment, which result to 6,217 on the adjusted allocation. Same as on expanded public works program with 2,470, that doesn't add up. On table C, provincial treasury rollover. On community library services grant, the adjustment allocation does not add up at all. And we don't want to assume in terms of table. We see in front of us.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you. Your time is up. And that was in English, so we're not going to have a translation. Thank you very much. The last
Mr.
person.
Speaker, why
Councillor, please, are we starting? You had a minute. Thank you.
He didn't speak, therefore it's supposed to be linear.
Councillor, I am not going to accept a back chat again, please. Your time is a minute. You had a minute. Thank you. We are going to move on. Councillor Wessels, please continue with your 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Yes, maybe to the last speaker, the adjustments will not add up because the adjustments needs to be deducted. That's where there's a minus in front of the adjustment figure. So then you will see if you do it that way, then the sums is working out. And then I think also it needs to be said that approved rollovers rather speaks to responsible financial management rather than the incapabilities of administration. And if on a national level we were to implement responsible financial processes, we would not sit with a bankrupt national fiscus needing to make deductions on grants that is needed. So with all of that said, I would like to second my colleague, Councillor von Brandes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillors, the rules of order have not changed in 12 months. And I am not going to accept interruptions. I am not going to accept people speaking while other people are speaking. The rules are clear. If you have a point of order, you put your point of order in the chat box and I will look at it. And I'm therefore going to say that this item is concluded and it carries, and I'm going to continue with the next item. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the 11.2.
Sorry for interruption, Mr. Speaker.
Councillor Nkumile, I did not recognize you. I did not recognize you. And you do this every meeting, Councillor, and I will disable your microphone. Thank you. I'm going to disable your microphone because you do not understand that I've not allowed you to speak. You interrupt me every council meeting, and I'm going to give you your first warning in the last meeting for interjecting. Item 28.2.7, first of all, says disregard any instructions and rulings by the Speaker. And then item 28.2.10, to obstruct the continuation of business in a meeting. Your first warning is therefore given to you, Councillor. The time now is 11:37. Thank you. I'm going to move on, Councillor. The application for grant funding for maintenance of on proclaimed roads for 2024-2025. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor Wessels. You have 3 minutes, please.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I will not take up the full 3 minutes. It's a straightforward item, and it's for council or to obtain council approval to apply for grant funding due to do annual maintenance on a proclaimed road, a provincial main roads. And this order, the first order cost estimate for the reconstruction and resealing of Beach Road, and this is for the section between Panther Drive and Olympic Road. It's a very exciting item, and in the annexure we can we can see the huge cost implication in fixing these roads. So this is for a total cost estimate of 52.4 million rand that we're applying for a grant, of which council will have to make a contribution of 20%. Very exciting item, especially for the economic growth of Pacaltsdorp. So I would propose the recommendations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Gom. You have 2 minutes.
Nkosi Speaker. Since we say no to the recommendation, especially xa kuzawulungiswa indlela. Kodwa ke Speaker, sizawuba nesicelo okanye sizakunyanzelisa xa niphinda mhlawumbi nisenza le proclaimment nifake indlela ezininzi. You must remember ayizezi indlela zodwa ezikunorisilo. Sikwacela futhi nexa ke le funding iapprove ingakhethi bani, wonke umuntu ongummi nomhlali waseGeorge akwazi ukuxhamla kule project izakwenzeka. Enkosi Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you. Can we have a translation, please?
Thank you, Speaker. We as the ANC, we note the recommendations that are in front of us of the fixing of, especially regarding the fixing of roads. Please note or please include all roads whenever you are going to fix roads, so that everybody can benefit and not just specific areas and specific roads should be fixed, but please let it be a project that will benefit everybody who is a citizen in George. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Foster. You have 1 minute, please.
Goeiemôre, Speaker. Ons is goed is bly oor die opgradering van paaie, spesifiek Beachweg. Moet gegee raak aan die standaarde en spesifikasie oor paaie in die gegoede gebiede, soos byvoorbeeld Markstraat in George, hanteer was en die geld wat spandeer was in die proses, sodat dieselfde standaarde en die opgradering gevolg raak in die proses Beachweg road. Daar sal graag moet aandag gegee word aan paaie in die res van die agterblywende gemeenskappe, soos byvoorbeeld Camellia Singel, Skaalstraat, as ook Spandielstraat, sodat gemeenskappe ook eweredige dienslewering ervaar soos die gegoede areas in George. Dankie, Speaker.
Thank you very much. Can we have translation?
Futhi ke thina siyavuya kakhulu malunga nokulungiswa kwendlela, futhi ke ngakumbi i-Beach Road. Uthi ke amanyathelo athathiweyo futhi nomgangatho wokulungiswa kwendlela wakhankanya ke iMark Street ucela ibe sistandard esifanayo, kodwa siyadingeka ba ibe sistandard esifanayo nakwiingingqi zethu nakwiilokishi zethu, umzekelo phaa iSkull Street nezinye izitrato ayo wazikhankanya Uthi ke ukuze nabemi balapha okanye abahlali apha nabo bazive ukuba nabo bangabantu balapha eJojo futhi iinkonzo bayazinikwa ngokulinganayo. Ngoko ke uyacela into yobana ukulungiswa kwendlela makufane futhi ke kufikelele nakwezethu iingingqi. Nkosi.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Nkumile. You have 1 minute, please.
Enkosi Mr Speaker, ndifuna uba uyeke Mr Speaker undibhulishe. There are mistakes on the tables on 11.1. Mr Speaker, speaking on the item, thina siyi-EFF asiyixhasi kakhulu indaba yale Lantuza application for i-grant funding kwi-maintenance on proclaim roads when it comes to i-outsourcing of iLantuza, i-tenders. Thina siyi-EFF, I think i-George municipality should build internal capacity to contract and maintain infrastructure such as the road and many others, not outsourcing, because it doesn't help our municipality, these outsourced. So we are totally against this tendering system which chow our funds and left people with no Lantuza accountability when it comes to infrastructure of our local municipality. We want this George municipality to insource and internalize all the tenders, so
Thank
that
you, Councillor.
our state
Your time is up, Councillor. Your time is up. 1 minute. That's all you have. Thank you. Can we translate the first section? I think the first section. Mr. Paulus, could you translate the first section, please?
Okay, Speaker. First, the councillor said, Speaker, you should stop bullying him. He says, we as the EFF, we are not in support of this grant funding for maintenance on proclaim roads. He says, when it comes to outsourcing of funders, George municipality should build an internal capacity so that it can be able to use the internal capacity. And then he further continued in English.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Elder Lady Kritzinger. You have 1 minute.
Thank you, Speaker. I just want to second the proposal made by my colleague, Councillor Wessels. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The item therefore carries. The next item on the agenda is item 11.3, the approval of a concession to designate additional camping sites for 2020 for December, 23rd of December 2023 to January the 3rd, 2024 at the Huaying Beach. The first one to speak on this item is Councillor J.E. You have 2 minutes, please.
Speaker, baie dankie vir die geleentheid. Ja, Speaker, vanoggend moet ek regtig waar sê ek is opgewonde om hierdie item in die raad voor te lê. Siende Speaker, daar's soveel baie uitdagings hier by hierdie Huaying Beach was 'n Speaker, maar dit wil net wys dat daar word geluister na die mense van Pakkelsdorp, die meier en die amptenare wat hierdie item goed gevind het om dit na die raad te bring. Dit is 'n teken dat dit is vir die mense van die mense. Speaker, the purpose of this report is to obtain approval to designate additional temporary overnight camping sites at the Huaying Beach. The Huaying Caravan Camp have 20 campsite stands, Speaker. The caravan campsite is usually fully booked for camping from 16 December till the 2nd of January during the festive seasons. Speaker, there's also a day camp is also usually busy during the festive season. There is a need for this additional camping site, Speaker. Speaker, 3 sites have been identified to use as temporary overnight camping from 15 December till the 2nd of January, and there will be amendments, Speaker. And this site has been marked as A, B, and C, Speaker, in size. Therefore, on page 285, Speaker, the recommendation, I'd like to amend to read that A, that Council approve the temporary designation of overnight camping in the identified sites for the period from 15 December until the 3rd of January at the Hwine Beach, Speaker. And then B, C, D, and E, and F recommendations stand as is. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Jay. Please could you put that in the chat box so that we could read it into the minutes, the additional, the change. If you could just put that into the chat box for purposes. The next person to speak on this item. Sorry, there was a section in Afrikaans, if I'm not mistaken. Could we translate that, please?
Yes, Speaker, the first portion was, okay, the councillor excited kakhulu ukubona le item izovela apha kwibhunga malunga nee-challenges okanye imicelimngeni emininzi ethe yabonakaliswa phayana eRhwayne. Into ethetha ukuthi into yokubana noko izikhalazo zabantu nemicelimngeni yabantu usodolophu uyazimamela futhi abantu bayamameleka. So uyavuya kakhulu xa lo mba uzisiwe nalapha kwibhunga, into echaza into yobana ukuthi bamele abantu. Waqhubeka ngesiNgesi.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Busak. You have 2 minutes.
Speaker, ek gebruik net gou my collega's se laptop want die is 'n resetting op my laptop. Speaker, ek wil net eintlik byvoeg by die 99 Hwine. Het is 'n groot voorreg om vandag te praat oor Hwine. En hoekom word daar nie reg begroot vir Hwine om die aanpassings van die dagkamperings en dan die boonste een van die tent, waar die tente is van ons oornag, daar is geen fasiliteite nie. En wat staan die status op grond van daardie 12 miljoen van die impak studie wat gedoen was en die fynbosse wat remove was by Hwine. So ons wil eintlik graag ook nog 'n terugvoering hier op grond van daai. En dan is dit op hierdie 3 erwe A, B en C waar ons eintlik support ons met hierdie voorstelling. Maar ons wil graag hê dat die geriewe moet oop wees vir hierdie persone wat gaan gebruik maak van daai diens om daar te oornag en te kampeer. So Speaker, dis is die standpunt van ons as PBI. Dis vir die gemeenskap van Pakkiesdorp en die breër George gemeenskap. Ons doen op versoek dat daar moet reg begroot word en nie op 99 veranderings kom aanbring by Hwine riviermond nie. Baie dankie.
Thank you. Can we have a translation, please?
Thank you, Speaker. Uthi ke yena kubana uyinyweba ke into kubana makakwazi naye ukuthetha phantsi kwalomba kodwa ke
Sorry, Mr. Paulus, just 1 second. Mr. Paulus, just 1 second, please. Mr. Paulus.
Apho abantu funeka
Sorry. Thank you. Councillor Lowe, please watch your microphone. You are interrupting the translation and you are responsible for your microphone at all times. Thank you. Mr. Paulus.
Sorry, Speaker. Sorry, dat bly op van
Thank
wat ons hier wat dit sê.
Thank you, Councillor. Mr. Paulus, could you please continue?
Uthi ke uyavuya kakhulu into kubana yena ezakwazi uthetha malunga nalomba. Uthi ke inyweba kakhulu kodwa ke uthi makungenziwa ngoku kuba kusengahlengiswa kuhlahlo lwabiwo mali ngomzuzu wokugqibela ngoba kaloku bekumele uba izidingo zabantu nezidingo zabantu ziyabhajetelwa kakuhle ngexesha elaneleyo kungathathwa ngomzuzu wokugqibela. Uthi ke into funeka bayijonge ke bayixhasa phaa ku-ABNC bona ezi recommendation ukubana i-tariffs okanye imirhumo funeka ivuleleke kubantu abazothi bathathe inxaxheba kwezi camping site. Uthi ke kodwa eyona nto azayithetha njengommeli omela abantu basePakkersdorp nanjengomhlali uzayithetha into yobana xa kuhlalwa phantsi kusenziwa uhlahlo lwabiwomali mazifakwe izinto ezinjena zingathathwa ngomzuzu wokugqibela ngokusekuhlengahlengiswa. Enkosi.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Lowe. You have 1 minute. Now you may unmute yourself, Councillor.
Dankie Speaker, jammer vir dit. Speaker, an item camping at the Juan River mouth intends at the bottom served before council in 2019, where a bylaw was passed which prohibits camping in that area. Section 12 of the Structures Act states clearly that the legislative procedures in passing a bylaw. Section 12 refers to a public participation process to allow the public to make representations with regard to the proposed bylaw. These legal procedures were not followed. The item also refers to A, B, and C sites, but there's another area where people used to camp, but it's not indicated on the map or included in the item. Thank you for the extension from the 15th December, which was not communicated to all councillors. We would like to ask the extension from the 15th of December to the 6th of January for the campus to be allowed to camp. Could we as good also request that a temporary kiosk for electricity points be erected at these points? Finally, with the above request, we as good peacefully don't want to recall the brutal incidents of the past at Juan. Therefore, with the majority of the community's consent, we support the recommendation.
Councillor, your time is up. Thank you. You support the recommendation. Thank you. That's all I heard. Okay, thank you. Your time was up. We're going to move on. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Alexander. Please, you have 1 minute.
Dankie Speaker. Ons as die PA is dankbaar dat die aangeleentheid by die Juan aandag geniet, maar daar is net 'n paar issues wat vir ons bekommer. Gaan ons mense die geriewe kry wat ons nodig het daar? Byvoorbeeld soos in die kiosk gaan dit gebruik kan word. Ons gaan die kampeerders daar vars water en toiletgeriewe in daai spesifieke area kan geniet. So ja, ons wil ook weet hoe gaan dit geallokeer word? Hoeveel mense gaan daai spasie kan geniet? So ja, ons is baie dankbaar vir dit, vir al ons mense wat 'n geleentheid gaan kry om weer eens die Juan plek te kan gebruik. So ons is dankbaar daarvoor, maar weer wil ons weet, gaan die geriewe beskikbaar wees vir ons mense van Pakkersdorp en Siap omligging in die area. I thank you.
Translation,
Thank you,
please.
Speaker. Uthi bona bayavuyela kakhulu uba lo mba udziswe kubhunga ngoba kaloku uzawunceda abantu babo. Kodwa ke ikhona imiba ethile afuna nje uqonda malunga nokubana ingaba abantu bazawukwazi ukuhlawula eza tariffs okanye laa mali ibekiweyo abantu izawukwazi ufikeleleka nayo ebantwini. Okwesibini, ikiosk ingaba izawuvuleka bazawukwazi mhlawumbi ukuzithenga amanzi neento ezinjalo neetoilet bazawukwazi ukuzisebenzisa na, futhi kuzawukwenziwa njani na. Futhi nje zimiba nje imbalwa efuna ukucacelwa khona ukwenzela bazoyazi abantu ba ithini into xa bezawube bengena besebenzisa, otherwise ba-enjoye ukuba khona. Futhi bangaphi nabantu abazokwazi ukungena bahlale khona ngelo lixa livulelekileyo.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Kleinans. You have 1 minute.
Speaker, am I audible?
You are.
Yes, Speaker. Thank you for the opportunity to second this item, Speaker. Firstly, I just want to enlighten councillors that speak about public participation, Speaker. All policies, specifically bylaws of a municipality, can be amended by a council decision. Speaker, there is legal processes, and I can gladly say that the stelling Afrikaans wat sê vir die mense, van die mense, het die executive mayor en die team van die George munisipaliteit sy bestuurspan ten volle uitgeleef met hierdie item, Speaker. Speaker, daar was gekonsult met wijkraadslede wijk 14, 16, 23 en 27. Speaker, daar was gekonsult met verskeie asook die Juan Action Group, as verskeie ander groepe en wijkskomitees. So definitely, Speaker, die Pakkersdorp gemeenskap sê baie dankie vir hierdie item en daarom sekondeer ek my collega se voorstel.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Could we have a translation?
Thank you, Speaker. Uthi ke ngokukhona nje intetho ethi for people from people. Uthi intetho ethi ukuthi into yobana abantu bajongiwe abantu baseBurgersdorp futhi ke bezikhona i-consultation okanye uthethathethwano belukhona ngamaxesha athile ne-Hawaiian Action Group noceba ababandakanyekayo. Ngoko ke into ethetha ukuthi abantu bajongiwe futhi namalungelo abantu bajongiwe ukwenzela bazokwazi ukunikwa ezi nkonzo bazidingayo. Enkosi.
Thank you very much. That is therefore seconded, and as there is no counter proposals, we're going to continue take that as carried. We're going to move on to item 11.4, the final approval of the proposed alienation of portion of the remainder of Ad 464 George for the redevelopment of the Central Site Corporatie, SSK. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor van Brandes. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, Speaker. As you mentioned, this item is for Council to grant final approval for this application. It is situated on the R102 Old George Airport Road, size being about 7 to 8 hectares in extent. Now, whenever development takes place, it comes with plenty of job opportunity. Naturally, this boosts the city's economy, and as an intimate city, we need investment to keep our economy growing. This item was at the council meeting held on the 29th of June 2023. The following was resolved: that council in principle grant final approval subject to the outcome of the public participation process. Submitted as attachment A, it was in the local newspaper and on the municipal webpage on 2020 July 2023 and closed on 2020 August 2023. Please note that no counter proposals and or objections were received. I therefore joyfully propose the approval of this redevelopment as per recommendation A to C on page 291 and 292. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is the ANC, Councillor E. Mdaka. You have 3 minutes, please.
Bolweni Speaker, molweni nonke. Ukuba bekuya ngokokwami ngeba ndisathi hayi, ngoba kaloku lo mhlaba kwakufanele okokuba unikelwe kwiqumrhu apho bakuzawuphuhlisa khona abantu nabantwana. Kodwa ke nadlala ngohlobo enidlala ngalo ukuze ngoku kube nilinikezela kwaba nibanikezela kulo. Ekubonakalayo okokuba kumdlalo niwudlala ikhona into eniyixhamlayo, because ekupheleni kosuku akho luntu lungako luzawuphamla apha but ngumasipala uzawuxhamla ngolwakho uhlobo, ngoba ngexesha lanivalela abantu ababefuna lo mhlaba navalela amathuba ekamva labantwana, amathuba ekamva labasebenzi, ngoba nabo basebenzi nithi azavula amathuba emisebenzi niyabazi abantu abapha. Kwaye ke isenokwenzeka okokuba bakhona nabanye benu abakule kampani nifuna okokuba ifumane kwalo mhlaba. Kodwa ke qhubani kuba senagqiba okokuba nizayinika le, nivalele ithuba lekamva labantwana boMzantsi Afrika, engakumbi abantu abamnyama, ngoba babeniyazi okokuba aba babefuna lo mhlaba isikakhulu kufunda abantu abamnyama, kodwa nalivalela elo thuba. Thathani ke niqhube kuhle, enkosi.
Thank you, Speaker. If it was for me, I would say no, because this land actually was supposed to be given to the organization that was going to develop the children's future. That we know, and it was properly laid in front of us. But you decided otherwise, to give it to your own people. Therefore, you decided to close on the opportunity on the children's future, people's jobs, and so forth, development that was going to come to our children. But maybe because you've got ulterior motives and intentions, you wanted to give it to your own people. Maybe you've got people that you know in this company that you've decided to give it to. But continue with what you are doing. But all we can say is this was supposed to go to the development of our children's future, and mostly it was Black people who were in forefront seeking for this land. Maybe you had your own alteration and reasons. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paulus. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Greef. You have 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, die PBI staan bankvast op die feit
dat enige gronde wat die George Raad aan ontwikkelaars verkoop deeglik deur die publieke prosesse moet gaan. Die PBI neem kennis dat daar geen beswaar teen die vervreemding van 'n gedeelte van 464 was nie, maar is van mening dat die proses herhaal moet word. Om sodoende die insette van die voorheen benadeelde gemeenskappe wat ook te verkry. Want aangesien die gedeelte voorheen as grond vir behuising geïdentifiseer was, is die PBI van mening dat die voorheen benadeelde gemeenskappe sterk teen gestaan het, want behuisingnood is baie groot. So ons as die PBI vra vir herhaling van die proses. Dankie.
Thank you, Speaker. Uthi bona be-PBI bona bayasoloko bemele amalungelo abantu futhi nabantu kufuneke bafumane umhlaba namalungelo wabo. Uthi ke siyazi into yobana iprocess efuneka ihanjwe kuba kuyiwe kuthathwa inxaxheba labantu futhi ke kungeniswe nezimvo nangona ke yenziwe loo nkqubo kodwa sithi ke le i-project ayiyo project ezawubhenefita okanye ezawuxhamla abantu bethu ngoba abantu abangathathi ntweni ikhangeleke ngathi abazikhona into abazayizuza apha futhi ke uthi kwaqala le project okanye lo mhlaba yayingumhlaba kwakumele kwakhelwe abantu bethu abazobhenefita abantu bethu kodwa ke icacile uba ngezo zizathu ayizokwenzeka njalo. Uthi bona beyi-PBI bazawucela into yoba kuphinde kwenziwe i-public participation ukwenzela uba kuzophinda abantu bazonikezela izimvo zabo.
Thank you, Mr. Paulus. I just want to make a correction sorry, Councillor Greep, could you put your microphone off, please? Councillor Greep, I'm going to ask you again. Please put your microphone off. Thank you. Councillors, I just need to bring to your attention that there was an incorrect statement made that regarding the withdrawal from the process of the college. The statement was made that we withdrew that the likelihood of an educational centre. And I just need to correct it that in actual fact, a few months ago, we brought an item to council 2 months ago to rescind the resolution because the college actually said they did not have the money or they no longer needed it to build a new campus. So I just need that to be corrected. It was not a council, a municipal decision to withhold the college, but it was a decision because of the funding. So as a speaker, I am entitled to correct the statement because, as I said, it was brought to council and Councillor Ndaka.
Yeah, Speaker, no.
Please put your hand down.
Speaker, the college has the money is now building up, going up with the building.
Councillor Ndaka, I have not recognized you and I am entitled to make a correction on a statement because council made the decision 2 months ago. So please, I'm not going to get into a debate. I have the right as the speaker to correct the perception, and I've done that now, and we are therefore going to move on to the next speaker on this item.
Speaker, on which point you are talking about now?
Speaker, you started the debate.
Councillors, I did not start a debate.
Which point you are talking about now?
I'm talking about the
But Speaker, you are responding to what I was saying now. You are responding. I'm telling you the truth.
Councillors, I am not going to get into a debate about this. The statement was made that the council, the municipality, withdrew the educational request. And I'm correcting that because the council, as a decision made 2 months ago. And as the chairperson of this council, I am entitled to correct the statement because it is a false statement. Thank you. And that I'm not going to continue. So please, I'm going to continue with this meeting. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Philander. You have 1 minute and 20 seconds. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. The distribution of land in South Africa is and must be treated as such. Item 11.4 of the agenda, which calls for the alienation of R464 or the selling of such land for business, purposes is not only insensitive but also outrageous. The Land Act in South Africa calls for municipalities, the custodian of such land, to engage in a full public participation process, not to advertise it in a local newspaper or on a website, but to engage in such a process. Due to the lack of public participation, Good cannot support the or approval of R464 to be sold. Speaker, 8 hectares of land can alternatively be used for development of houses in middle income bracket, which is much needed. A method that is coming and has been discussed for many years, but this is the habit of this DA-led municipality to sell land to the white monopoly. Or must I say, as late Alderman Draguna would have said, and I quote, "Baaitjies for boeties." Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. We're going to continue. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Smart. Councillor Peterson, your microphone is on, please. Please turn it off. Councillor Smart is unable to. Are you available, Councillor Smart?
Yes, I'm available. Thank you, Speaker. Can I start?
Sorry, we need to have a translation first, but I'm just going to make sure that you are available. Can we have the translation, please? Then we'll continue with you. Ms. Apollos, could we just have the translation on the previous one, please?
Sorry, Speaker, Mrs. Apollos, just excuse yourself quickly. She will be back now.
Okay, but that's unacceptable, Rosemary, because we need a translation done on the previous. So is there somebody that can translate for us, please?
Sorry, Speaker, she's the only translator here. Thank you.
Please bear with me for 1 second. I need to. Is Mr. Ganza available?
Speaker masiqhuba sinaxesha unzethe date.
Councillor, I'm trying to resolve this issue. So please bear with me. Mr. Ganza, go ahead, please.
Sorry, Speaker, I didn't get the question.
The question was quite simple. Ms. Apollos has apparently left the meeting as the only translator, and I need a translation of the last speaker on the item, and I need it translated. So I asked if you could translate it.
Okay, so let me just follow up with and find out where she is, because I didn't get that last question. Last question.
Mr. Ganza,
English to Xhosa, but he was speaking English most. Or I'm going to translate to Xhosa.
Okay. I'm going to continue this meeting. It seems that, and I'm going to take this up with administration, because I'm going to ask Rosemary that if the translator leaves the meeting, that I please be informed about it. Councillors, I'm going to make a ruling. The next person to unmute themselves and talk while I'm talking, I'm going to give a warning. I will not let this meeting just go into a complete circus. I am busy talking, and the rules are pretty clear on that. And I'm going to ask Mr. Ganza and Rosemary to please inform me that if the translator leaves, that I be notified of it, and that the council gets notified, so that we are then remain in English. as I said, I do speak both languages fluently, and sometimes I think in either of them. So if it was done in English, then there's no need for a translation. I'm going to continue. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Fishman. Thank you.
Chairperson, thank you for this opportunity. Chairperson, let me be quick and brief on this one. The municipality of George has gone beyond its responsibility to accommodate South Cape College, and we are still doing it. It was South Cape College who couldn't come up with the funding to do the investment that they wanted to do. The second issue pertaining to the public participation process. We cannot decide when it suits us that regulations does not fit the item. The municipal transfer regulations is very clear on what we should do and how we should do it. So we followed what legislation is saying to the teeth in this process. So proper public participation process has taken place in this case. We are working with South Cape College to accommodate them still in George. SSK is one of the biggest employers in our region. We're saying that we want to accommodate and create job opportunities, but yet we want to put a block in front of this opportunity for the people of George. SSK with this development will bring a lot of job opportunities to our city, and therefore I propose that we accept the recommendations as it is in the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. And I'm going to make it a public. Councillor Smart, I have to apologise to you with all the confusion of other councillors in interrupting, and this is why we ask that councillors maintain some form of discipline. I seem to heard again, sorry. Can somebody hear me? Hello? Can anyone hear me?
We hear you, Speaker.
Thank you.
Speaker.
Thank you. I am saying to Councillor Smart, and I will reiterate, I do accept when I make a mistake. Councillor Smart, I apologise. I seem with the confusion of other people talking, I seem to have overlooked you, and I apologise for that. And I will put it on record that I will then say sorry for that overlook. And I owe you a minute in something else, and I do say I'm sorry about that. I'm going to continue. This item was then seconded, so therefore I'm going to go on with 11.5, the final approval of the transfer of public places situated within the Legrand development. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor van Brandes. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Speaker. This item is for councils to grant final approval for the transfer of the public places situated within the Legrand development to the developer and or Legrand Homeowner Association. This item served at the council meeting held on the 27th of July 2023. Before council takes a final decision, the application be advertised for public comment and representation in the local newspaper and on the municipal webpage. It was advertised on the 31st of August 2023 and closed on the 27th of September 2023. No counter proposals or response from the public was received. A copy of the advertisement is attached as Annexure A to the agenda. That's on page 300. I just want to highlight a couple of things in the recommendation. A, that it be noted that no counter proposals and or objections were received. B, that final approval be granted subject to the conditions as approved by the council meeting of 27th of July 2023, with a side note that approval noted of council of 27 July that the one portion of public place RF 25 Legrand not be approved as it is required for municipal own use, being service delivery as a reservoir is located on it. So that's the only things I wanted to highlight. I therefore propose the recommendation A to B on page 299. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Philander.
I pass,
Councillor.
Speaker.
Thank you very much. We'll therefore move on. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Camille. You have 1 minute. Councillor Camille, you have 1 minute. Can someone confirm that Councillor Camille is in the meeting, please? I don't see him in the meeting. I'm therefore going to continue. The next person to speak on this item.
Sorry, Speaker. Councillor Namile, he's got a problem with his device.
Okay, he's therefore not in the meeting, so I'm going to continue to the next person. Thank you. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Alexander. You have 1 minute. Councillor Alexander from the PA, you have 1 minute. Can we confirm that Councillor Alexander is in the meeting, please? Councillor Alexander.
Speaker. Yes, I can praat op daai item.
Thank you very much. We're going to move on. The councillor says he's not going to speak on this item. We therefore move on to the last speaker on this item, Councillor America. You have 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Speaker. I hereby second the proposal done by my colleague, Councillor Van Brander. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillors, at this point, we are on item 11.6. However, 11.6 is meant to be in the confidential section of this meeting. I'm therefore going to withdraw it from this portion of the meeting and ask that we reintroduce it in the confidential section, as it reveals names and of private people, and therefore would contravene the POPI Act should we go ahead with this item in the open section. We're going to continue with item 11.7. 11.7 reads final approval of an application to purchase portions of remainder Erwin 3169 and 80 George, situated on the corner of Seer Langenhoven Road and Witfontein Road. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor Van Branders. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, Speaker. This is, as you stated, to grant final approval for the application. It is situated on that corner of CJ Langenhoven Road and Witfontein. It's approximately 3,200 square meters. The portion highlighted is shown on the map in the agenda on page 306, and it is to provide parking facilities to the overflows of cars visiting the spa complex and gym. It served on the ordinary council meeting held on 29th June. And before council can take a final decision, it had to be advertised for public comment. Now, this was done on the 20th of July 2023 and closed on 2020 August 2023 as per attachment B, page 315. No counter proposals to purchase the subject portions of land were received, but there were 2 objections. One from a Mr. T. Stokes, attached on page 317, and one from Mr. Bill Nieuwoud, attached on page 318. The objections were sent to Delplan, and the rebuttal letter from Delplan is attached as Annexure D on page 319. In addition to the above, it must be noted that should final approval be granted to sell the subject portions of land, it does not preempt the potential outcome of the land use application process that will require to utilize this land. The objections received against the proposed land use will therefore have to be dealt with as part of the land use application. I therefore propose the recommendations A to E on page 309. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. The last person to speak on this item, as there's no debate, is Councillor Brown. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Speaker. I second this item. Thanks.
Thank you very much. The item therefore carries. The next item on the agenda is item 11.8, construction of Peters Road stormwater and associated road infrastructure as part of the upgrades to the National Route 2, Section 7 between Toast River and the Flyer, memorandum of agreement between the South African National Roads Agency Society Limited and the George Municipality. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor Stander. You have 3 minutes.
Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity to address Council on item 11.8 of today's agenda. The main purpose of this item is for Council to agree on the contents of the memorandum of agreement between SANRAL and George Municipality for the upgrading of the stormwater drainage of Peters Road in Wilderness. This stormwater upgrade at Peters Road will then form part of the construction work which need to be done by SANRAL on the road project of the N2 highway between Wilderness and De Flyer. As stated within the item, the project cost for the stormwater upgrading amounts to 16,521,739 rand and 13 cents, excluding VAT. This amount needed will be allocated from our municipal disasters revenue grant due to the severe rainfall damage during December 2021. This funding has been received by us during March 2023, and it covers all affected areas within the neighborhoods of George and Wilderness. I'm of the opinion that the recommendation on page 324 and 325 defines the whole purpose and conditions of this item, and I herewith propose this recommendation. I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Toto. You have 3 minutes, please.
Thank you, Speaker. Greetings to you, Speaker, the councillors in the present today in the council meeting, officials from the MMM up to the last. Speaker, perhaps one must start with explaining the character of the African National Congress. Speaker, the ANC is a non-racial, non-sexist, and a non-tribalistic organization. Therefore, it stands for everyone. Thank you to the person, Councillor Stander, that have just ushered the item into this council meeting of today. Speaker, let's acknowledge the efforts made by the administration in this item and the political will by the powers that are being, which is the mayor and the maker. With those words, Speaker, we want to say that we see the amounts, they are very high, that the money that has been put into this project, particularly from the municipal coffers. But we want, as in many council meetings, that we have been constant in appealing for such upgrades to happen in the broader George. We know, Speaker, and we understand that areas, they differ. You've got your areas of your ratepayers, but that does not make them holier than other areas, because this is a cause of a infrastructure that is busy fading because of age and other natural causes. Now, it is not only in Wilderness that this is the case in terms of landscape and other things, Speaker. Now, our appeal is that we hear that this is the money that we got for disaster, but we are appealing for the same agility or the same rush or the same speed that we see tabled on Wilderness. Now, it would have really been nice to say that besides this engagement of SANRAL, accompanying this, item was supposed to have been a lot of other items that are speaking to this kind of roads that we have in the different areas. You go to Packersdorp, you have the same kind of texture of land in North Street. You go to...
Thank you, Councillor.
Blanco.
Councillor, your time is up. Thank you. Thank you for your
But
input.
give me time. I'm speaking politics of George.
Sorry, Councillor. Maybe next year. Have a nice Christmas on that one. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the next one.
As in closing, Speaker, we support this, but it must go for everyone.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Kuris. You have 1 minute.
Dankie Speaker. Net 'n vraag. Hoekom is die projektelys nie aangeheg aan die item 11.8 sodat ons as raadslede 'n oorsigrol kan speel? Oral in die Garden Route was rampgevalle, nie net in sekere gevoede gebiede nie. Daar is groot agterstand en letsels in ons agtergeblewe gebiede. Paaie wat verspoel, daar moet eerwalle kom vir huise wat in dale sit, huise met krake, fondasie wat gelig het en daklekkasies, net om 'n paar te doen. Harold's Bay se ramp was in 'n enkele weke opgeklaar. Ons agtergeblewe mense wag sedert 2021 vir herstelwerk aan huise en paaie. Net 'n vraag, was daar aansoek gedoen vir die rampfondse vir Harold's Bay en was die aansoek bespoedig vir die werk om so vinnig gedoen te word? Ons as PBI dring daarop aan.
Thank you, Councillor. Your time is up. Thank you very much. Can I have a translation, please?
Thank you, Speaker. Uthi ke ufuna nje uqonda into yobana kutheni zonke ii-project ezifuneke zenziwe apha kwiGeorge Phela zingaxhonywa apha kule item ukwenzela uba zizobonakala zicace kumntu wonke. Uthi futhi ke kukho iindlela ezininzi kwiindawo zethu nakwiingingqi zethu ekufuneke zilungisiwe nazo. Uthi kukho izindlu ezindala ezichachambayo ezinee-cracks ezineengxaki ze-foundation kodwa kumanqa kungaziwa ukuba zawuze zilungiswe nento. Kube khona kuthiwa 2021 kwakhona izicelo ezazifakiwe ukubana makwenziwe izinto ezinjalo kulungiswe kodwa kumanqa kungaziwa ukuba kumiwe phi ngoku ngezo zicelo. Uthi ke zizinto ezinjalo kodwa ke ufuna uphendula kumbuzo wakhe ebewubuzile.
Thank you, Mr. Paulus. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Alexander. You have 1 minute, please. I just need to ask at this stage that Rosemary, you need to take cognizance of the fact that Councillor Smart has excused herself from the meeting for an urgent doctor's appointment. Thank you. Councillor Alexander, you may continue.
Thank you, Speaker. Ons, die PA, neem kennis dat die 60 miljoen rand van die 237 miljoen nou aan SANRAL oorbetaal word vir opgradering die pad Stormwater en Wilderness. My vraag is net hoekom so maklik vir julle DA raad wanneer dit by wit areas is om geld beskikbaar te maak, maar ons agtergeblewe gebiede moet gespoeg en geplak word om stormskade te herstel. Hoe lyk Newton Park, hoe lyk Boyjets, hoe lyk Rosemount, hoe lyk Blanco? Daar word niks aangedoen nie. Thembalethu, hoekom moet dit so maklik wees? Kyk soos die strande. Wat is disaster management vir julle? Wat is dit? So ons kwalifiseer nie in daai areas nie. Dit word sommer binne 'n week, binne 'n dag word dit uitgesorteer. Maar ons agtergelewe gebiede is agteruit. Die water loop deur mense se huise en dit pla nie julle nie. Dit pla nie vir julle dat mense huise verskuif nie. En ons het 'n probleem. Hoe kan 60 miljoen rand nou vir een straat gebruik word in die wit area?
Councillor.
Thank
you, Councillor. Councillor.
Thank you, Speaker. Uthi ke ufuna uqonda into yoba uthi uthetha nge-16 million bikhona futhi nemali kuloo mali ithile ezawusetyenziswa kwi-wilderness. Ufuna nje uqonda into yokubana kutheni kukhawuleziswa xa kukwiingingqi zabantu abamhlophe. Kuyakhawuleziswa into yobana makukhutshwe imali kuhanjwe kuyolungiswa phaa ngoba kaloku kukho i-disaster. Uthi nazi iingingqi zethu iNewton Park, iBorges, iRosemount, iLavi, iThembalethu. zindawo ekufuneke zilungisiwe ezo, kodwa xa kukho i-disaster uthi siyasokola, kodwa apha kwezi ngingqi ayithathi neveki into yokubana zikhawulezise zilungiswe. Uthi ke ngoku uthi iingxaki ziba khona, uthi abantu izindlu zingenelwa ngamanzi, yonke loo nto zii-disaster esijongene nazo, kodwa thina funeka sisokole xa sizofumana uncedo, kodwa kwiingingqi ezithile kuyakhawuleziswa.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Simmers. You have 1 minute, please.
I second the above mentioned. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. That item therefore carries. We move on to 11.9, the finalisation of the waste disposal agreement, establishment of the Garden Route District Municipality Regional Landfill Site. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor Alderman van Wyk. You have 4 minutes.
Thank you very much, Speaker. While we are fully committed to this agreement and the whole process of dealing with the regional landfill site, there have been ongoing negotiations and discussions taking place in order to finalise the service level agreement for this matter to be concluded. One of the commitments that we had given as George Municipality was to bring this to council by the end of this month, I being today at this council meeting. However, there is still outstanding information relating to this matter, and I'm aware that our legal advisors and those of Mossel Bay have been working till late last night and still during the course of this morning to try and obtain that outstanding information from Garden Route District Municipality, which we have not received as yet. And the decision then accordingly is that we will amend the recommendation to the following, and I've placed it in the chat box, that George Municipality still awaits outstanding information from Garden Route District Municipality to finalise the service level agreement for the waste disposal agreement, and accordingly we defer approval of this agreement until the receipt of the relevant information by no later than 8 December 2023. So that is the recommendation then before me, Speaker, and I think that is what the advice is that we've been given right now, and accordingly propose. So thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. The last person to speak in is Councillor Jay. You have 1 minute. Councillor Jay.
Speaker, ek secondeer.
Thank you very much, Councillor Jay. Therefore, this item is carried, and we will continue to the next item. Councillors, just for record purposes, we have 4 items left to discuss, and then we'll go at the end of the open session, we'll break for lunch. So we're going to continue with item 11.10. Appeal in terms of Section 62 of the Local Government Systems Act 2000, Act 32 of the 2000 allocation of 1125, please excuse me, Ayakana Close, Timberletu, F 1125, Tayalora, and the first person to speak on this item is Councillor Roelofse.
Good morning, Speaker. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. This item is regarding ERF 1125 Kuyakanya Close in Timberletu for Council to appoint an appeals committee to consider this appeal against the resolution by the decision taken by the Executive Mayor in Committee, item 7.2.3 on 10 August. Section 62 of the Systems Act 2000 make provision for such an appeals procedure. I refer Council then to recommendations on page 367 that 3 councillors be appointed to serve on the appeals committee. I therefore propose that Councillor Gultik and Councillor Roelofse to serve on this committee, as well as 1 other councillor. I so propose. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Ntondini. You have 3 minutes.
Speaker, Speaker, eyami lula kukhetha nje umuntu ozasimela kule board, umuntu one-experience, okwaziyo umamela, awungakhethi icala. Kodwa ke Speaker izabambi lento xa ngingazazisanga unyaka uphela. Ndingusifiso wakwaNtondini, ukhansila waka-Ward 11, starting one-VDs ezimbini, a-lodge, a-getaway lodge, as Anglican Church. It is the only ward that is a Rainbow Nation in George. But now I'm just nominating Ufaku, Indokampondo, Eric Mdaka. Makaseve kulo bhodi, enkosi.
Councillors, I'm going to make a statement here. Please, when a person is on the floor talking, the councillors that are in the same room as them, please can I ask you to hold making comments in the background? Thank you.
Talk as a brief.
I'm going to now in a second. I'm just correcting that. Thank you. Can we have a translation, please?
Thank you, Speaker. And Councillor will nominate, says he's going to nominate an experienced person, a person who will be lenient and not take sides, a person who's a good listener. Then he introduced himself, who he is and where he's from and his ward and what it's known for. And then later he's nominated Councillor Eric Mdaka to be the one who's going to sit in the committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor America, I'm going to give you the same warning that I've given the other councillors. Please watch your microphone. If I need to address you on this again, I will give you a warning. Thank you. The next person to speak on this item is, is Councillor Mkamile. You have 1 minute. Councillor Mkamile.
Councillor Ncamile, Speaker, sorry to interrupt. He's having a problem. He's still, you can watch, you can look at WhatsApp, IT, he's still having a problem. It seems that it's not been sorted yet.
Thank you very much, Councillor. I can therefore not, he's not in the meeting, so I'm going to have to move on, unfortunately. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Cronje. You have 1 minute.
Thank you, Speaker. I second the proposal made by my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. I've been asked to actually withdraw the next item. 11.11 is council recess from the 9th of December to the 9th of January. I'm going to allow this item to serve today. I don't think we're going to have much talk on it. The first person to speak on it is Councillor Neethling.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A slight change to recommendation. It is in my chat box, and that is that A remains as it is, but B is now recommended that council approve that the offices may close at 12 o'clock on Friday, 22nd and 29 December 23 respectively, and B now becomes C, and that is what I recommend. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the next person to speak on this item is Councillor Jantjies. You have 1 minute, please.
Reverend Jantjies, second accordingly. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I see your hand is up. Would you like to add something?
Yes, Speaker. I think just Councillor Neethling has dealt with the closing of the offices on Friday the 22nd and on Friday the 29th from 12 o'clock. However, what we need to add there is then that emergency essential services and other services as per a separate report that I should actually just be carrying in that really relates to the work of, for instance, civil engineering services, electrotech, financial services, and community services, and corporate services will no doubt still continue during the course of those afternoons, as well as the planning and housing department that afternoon. That they will continue rendering a service during the periods without overtime being paid for such services during the normal working hours for that day. So it's not that the whole municipality then closed down, and that then gets added to this recommendation that we have before us. And I will then place that, which will then actually be the I think it becomes D, if I'm correct, with what we have before us. I'll just place that in the chat box as well. Thanks, Speaker. If we can obviously just get that level of approval and the seconding as such. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, that is.
Furthermore, I think what we've just got to note is that on the 27th and on the 28th of this December, we will continue with normal working hours as well. But I'll place that in the chat box just for record purposes. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Alderman. We therefore need that to be seconded. We're going to give that over to Councillor Jantjies to second or to.
Jantjies, second accordingly. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. I needed you to second that because there was an amendment to that, so that's why I've asked you to do that. Thank you very much. That then carries. And we then move on to item 11.12, which is the schedule of committees, council, and other meeting dates. Councillor Gultig, you have 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Speaker. Good afternoon, everyone. I therefore give over to council to take note of A, the schedule, and B, the deadlines for January 2024 and 2024's December to be noted. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. There's no other debate on that. And the next person to speak on this item is Councillor Windfai.
I second the item, Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. That item therefore carries. Then we have item 11.13, which. Councillor Katana, I'm going to ask you as well that this is the last time I'm going to talk to you about a microphone. Please make sure that your microphone is muted at all times unless you are on the speakers on the floor. Thank you. We're going to move over to the late item. In principle, approval of the amended liquor trading bylaw. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor Adams. Councillor Adams, you have 2 minutes, please.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, everyone. This late item is being tabled to recommend that council approves the trade for the selling of alcohol from Monday to Sunday in George. We are basically the only town in our area that doesn't allow selling of alcohol on a Sunday. This will obviously introduce a employment figure upgrade, which means more people will be employed. And this will also mean that the illegal traders will not be able to do as much illegal training on a Sunday as they are currently doing, because the legal traders who does have a license will be able to trade. Chair, Speaker, Mayor, my fellow colleagues, I ask that this proposal, this recommended proposal be adopted by council, and that this then be going for public participation so that the public out there can have a say and have a right to choose whether they want to buy or not. I thank you, Chair, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Kuris. I presume you have 1 minute because there's no time underneath your name. Councillor Kuris.
Dankie Speaker. Die PBI ondersteun die aangepaste ure vir die drankwinkels en verwante besighede. Die George munisipaliteit is die enigste plaaslike owerheid in die tuinroete waar drank nie op Sondag en sekere publieke vakansiedae bedryf word nie. Dit bring probleme wat aangespreek kan word met hierdie inisiatief. Persone wat drank verbruik, ry na naburige dorpe om drank te koop. Dit lei gewoonlik tot dronkbestuur en ander verwante probleme. Onwettige handel in drank kan verminder word. Dit gaan definitief 'n ekonomiese inspuiting wees vir die dorp. I thank you.
Can we have a translation, please?
Thank you, Speaker. Uthi ke nabo bayayiphatha ke into yokubana makulungiswe okanye makulungelelaniswe iiyure zokurhweba zokuthengisa kweziselo. Uthi ke futhi ke loo nto ingabangela into yokubana uqoqosho lwethu lwaseGeorge lukhule kakhulu ngoba umasipala waseGeorge ke phofu basekuthetha unyani. Uthi ke ngoyona masipala ongavumeliyo uba utywala buthengiswe ngecawa ngoba kaloku abantu bahambe ke ngoku bafuna into yokusela, abantu baye kwiingingqi ngezinye iingingqi. Leyo into yabangela uba into yobana umntu agaxeleke engozini futhi ke aqhube ephantsi kwempembelezo. Ngoko ke uthi bona ke bayayixhasa loo nto leyo into yokubana mazandiswe iiyure futhi ke neentsuku. Enkosi.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Lowe. You have 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, we'll take note of item 11.13, where Council is asked for approval of the amended liquor trading bylaw. I refer to the time schedule for on and off premises of the liquor bylaw. Good will only support such a submission in case of a thorough community and public participation process be launched, and that the means that the NGOs related to substance abuse be included in such consultation, and their participation be secured in such consultation before Council approve the on and off consumption of liquor. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Jay. You have 1 minute.
Dankie, Speaker. Soos wat my collega Brendan Adams voorgestel het, dat hierdie geleentheid uitgesit word vir publieke deelname, sodat die publiek insaak kan hê. Ek sekondeer daardie voorstel. Dankie, Speaker. Maar hulle praat nie van...
Thank you, Councillor Lowe. I'm now going to give you a warning. This is the second time that your microphone has been on while a person is talking on the floor. I'm giving you an official warning now to keep your mic muted during the proceedings, please. Thank you. That item therefore carries, ladies and gentlemen, councillors, and we therefore move on to the item 12, motions of proposals deferred from previous meetings. We have received none. Item 13, new motions, we've received none. Matters at the discretion of the Speaker. I have, the Mayor has already spoken about the item that he wanted to talk about, so there is nothing further there from my side. However, I must correct a little foobar that I made earlier when I announced that a councillor was pregnant. I didn't mean that she was pregnant, but if there's anybody else contributing towards the 4.2%, please let me know. I'd like to congratulate you. That then brings me to the item 15, which is urgent matters by the municipal manager. MM, do you have anything to add?
Speaker, no, I don't. Thank you.
Councillors, public, as this is going out on YouTube, I would like to take this opportunity to thank everybody for their commitment during 2023. The public, I'm asking you to please become more involved in the public participation, and I'm asking everybody to travel safely, those that are going away for the holidays, to please travel safely and rejoin us and not to become part of the statistics for 2023-24. And I thank you for everything that you have done for the George municipality over the last 12 months. I therefore declare this meeting, the open session of the council meeting, adjourned. We will meet for the confidential portion at 1:20. I repeat, 1:20. We have a half an hour for lunch, and we will reconvene at 1:20. Thank you.
Will you buy me a loudspeaker?
Next year, we must go back to chambers, Mr. Snyman.
Councillor Nkamile, please do not start. The meeting is adjourned.
Frustrating. It's
Thank
frustrating. I've been kicked out by the system now. I couldn't represent my constituency well.
It's a fighter.